Hi guys, my name is Ellen. By me is Patrick. Welcome to HEX Stakes Kryptosparbuch show. We have a very special guest today, an awesome guy. The least one I want to have as a neighbor, but for sure it is the first one I would call up for going to Vegas. It is Karim. Let's get Karim to our show.
What's going on, everybody? Glad to
There he
be
is. How are you? How is it going, Karim?
doing good. I'm very excited. I just finished work not too long ago. Very excited for the stream today. Excited to meet everybody. I'm trying to learn German at some point too. Always be learning. Always be learning. That's the key in spreading the community. So
Yeah, then what's the first German sentence you learned?
it's kind of funny because a long time ago I used to date someone that was half German. So ich liebe dich, right? That's the only thing. That's all I needed to know. And then the rest, she was also half French because funny story. I speak French as well because like part of my family, being from Africa, we have French, representative slash. So it's like it was always borderline. So when I go to visit, there's a part of it that used to be German that speak French and vice versa. So could be in between. Could be in between. So if you guys want to speak French anytime, that's my trade-off.
Yeah, you
I
can
don't
do that
speak
with
any
Steph.
French, man.
Yeah. That speaks French, so that's cool. And then some people in the community do too. So it's truly an honor. It's international, right? We have people from everywhere, and I always wanted to learn, and that's one of the first lessons in life. Always be learning. Like not too long ago, when I was 18 years old, I came to the United States. I didn't know the language. See, people forget that when you're an international student, you don't really know the language. Like what you know is just the little bit that you saw on TV, or like remember when you were in school you learn a little bit in class, and then when you leave, it's like, you forget everything almost. So it's just when you put your mind to it in the right environment, you can almost learn anything.
You see, I see right now in the chat the people are putting on their FOMO pants because of you. But before we get started, what you announced, the new insights you want to share, give us a little bit about you. Maybe the German community does not know you yet. You're fairly new to the video streaming and stuff like this. I followed you a long time ago on Twitter, but when was the first time you learned about Hex, and what was the first time you got into crypto?
Good. So I've heard about crypto on and off since like 2015, 2016, but it was the typical, hey, I'm busy, I'm trying to make a career, I'm starting to make a lot of money, I don't have time to look into this, right? And then one of my friend from way back when we worked together, all of a sudden he became a millionaire just because he bought crypto way back when. And then that's why I was like, wait a minute, I got to take a look at this. And then, of course, 2017 came. The rent came the moment it started passing 6K. I'm like, I see it on the news everywhere. But you see, but that's how you learn, right? And then you go to the first cycle and all the excitement and everything, and then the crash, of course, right? But what I always wanted to do was I learned it not just for the money side, but I really got into learning what crypto was about. And it really hit home and it related for me because when you're from quote unquote third world country or whatever, you know the pain of sending money back home, like Western Union, MoneyGram, all those places charging you 10, 15% fee. That's insane. So way back when, 2017, you can send money with lesser fee. Yes, it takes 10 minutes, but we used to take stuff that took a longer time than that. So that was really what got me into it. And I'm like, what else is in there? And then I learned more, and then I got into the altcoins and stuff like that. But 2017 to me, it's kind of the official me getting into crypto, so to speak.
So 2017, from there it just went down, I guess.
Yeah, I'm the type of person when I bite, dude, I don't let go. Like I went straight rabbit hole. I'm talking 10 days straight, just learning. And I'm like, oh, what is but and literally within a week, I knew all was quote unquote good about Bitcoin, what the limitation, this and that. Next thing you know, I talk about Ethereum, this, that. And I was also part of the EOS, the crowd sale, the launch phase and everything. I got a big involved in that 2017, 2018. I even went to the events and everything. So I really got to learn what crypto was really, really good about, minus the trading stuff, because when you already have access to traditional markets, you see trading all the time. So it's not really anything new. Maybe a little bit more volatility, but it's not really new, right? Charts are charts. It was really the community aspect. That's what I fell in love with finding places where you can communicate with other people all around the world. That's actually when I downloaded Telegram for the first time, right? Because before that, you don't really use it, so to speak. You know, you have the messengers, you have all the other tools. Not that I'm big on social media, but you know, Telegram for me was crypto. That's what I download that, you know. But what
So when did you learn about Hex, and how long did it take you to understand the share rate, share price, and all that? Because you have a really special viewpoint on that.
Yes. So my thing is I get to kind of compute things very fast in my brain because I mean I love math, I love numbers, stuff like that, and I would like to stimulate my brain. But since 2017, I kind of heard about Richard on and off, and he was already talking sense to me, right? People that just besides the hype, things that they can back it up. So I've been following on and off, and I've heard about he's going to come up with a crypto. So you just follow in the background, you're a subscriber, you're here, and then it's officially there, right? And then you start to do your research, then you try it out. But then when you really hit home is like it's doing what it said it's going to do, right? Because at some point the theory meets the practical, and then because you know technology always have bugs, and then because it's money, I started with a little bit, and I started doing a little bit mini stakes, and then when it just works, end stake works, everything works, I'm like, okay, all in, let's go. So that's kind of the step, because the credibility for me was already there. I've seen it since 2017. And during that same time, I also saw what didn't go well. For example, all the hypes, the promise coins, we're gonna do this, the white paper, the rug pulling. So that was kind of my tuition. So as you learn about the space, as you get sadly disappointed, sometimes lose a little bit of money too, not to your own fault, because I tell people, if you lose money, believe it's somebody that didn't come through. That's not your fault. They failed you. You see, it's different if you're trading and you're losing money. That's something else. That's on you. But if you do what you thought was right because people said they're going to do something and they didn't, that's not on you. That's on them. But what you want to do is you want to learn from that experience. So when I got to Hex, it was like no BS, straight to the point. We're here to get the mad gains. It's finished product. It's complete. So that's really what made me fall in love, because I've always been looking for a product like that where I can put my money in, work hard, long-term thinking. So it was a perfect fit.
So before we go down the rabbit hole, there's also another question we always ask our interviewers. What is the favorite part of the Hex game theory for you?
Me, share price. I mean, it's just okay. Just to give you guys a little Easter egg, right before we get to it, it's so good because of one fundamental: time doesn't wait for anybody. And this is the same tactic that I use for family member or friends that I got into Hex that that got decent amount of money, like 5 figures. It's because I said, hey, whether you do this or you don't, whether you get in or you don't, the share rate, the share price doesn't wait for anybody. And because it's a factor of time. Even if you want to wait as long as you want, after the 2 weeks, you either start to bleed or you're going to have to unstake. And when that happens, share rate will change. So that to me was the most bullish thing, because no other crypto does that. So, you know what I mean? Because we can talk about lockup, we can talk about this, that, on all the fake lockups out there, they can unstake at any time. But share price is really the protector of the true lockup. Even the people that think they're so smart, I'm just going to create, sacrificial stakes and things like that. Even when you do that, the share price will still go up. So you can do that once or twice, sell the top, or maybe you were early person. Because remember, I wasn't here in the beginning. I came in like late April, and I didn't have any Bitcoin to claim. So thank God for the adoption amplifier. I just bought everything, 6-figure plus. So I knew some people got there before me. But I knew that if they want the marshmallow today, they may make a little bit of money today, $500,000, whatever. But long term down the road, which is going to be what we're going to talk about, they're going to regret that decision, because had they waited longer, it's just exponentially grow. And the share price is that protector that let you go through the booms and busts and the bubbles and the cycles, like we're saying right now, because that's going to be the protector of your wealth. That's what I said. It's not about making money. It's about building wealth. When you understand that, it's going to be better for you long run.
Exactly. I think about it as the same. Like today we saw a price pump of 30 something percent, then the price went down again, and I'm not affected at all. Even though people may be unstaked, and I gained from that price volatilization. So I'm just focusing on producing content, just being all in Hex, and just learning every day even more, and doing awesome interviews like with you right now. So why don't we go ahead and just drop the bomb? What is the new insight you want to share? Because I'm really excited to hear about that.
Perfect. So yeah, there's gonna be a couple of them. Can I share my screen?
Of course,
Sure.
yeah. Just go on share screen and then you
Okay. One
choose
second.
what you want to share. Click on
Yep.
it and then you press share.
Yep. 1 second here. Pull up the monitor.
Oh, perfect. And thanks a lot for the donation, guys, on the DLive channel. Also, if you haven't done so far, give us please a like or a follow, a subscribe, whatever you want to. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the show. Karim is about to share his screen, and now we are
Can you
getting
see it?
to it. Yes, here we
Okay,
are.
perfect. So we're gonna start here. This is actually one of my favorite screens. So I just want to kind of prepare this to help people understand, right? So they don't get too left behind. So this is what I love to look at most of the time because it's the chart of, for those who don't know, it's the unstaking charts based on time. And I like to look at it on the monthly. I said that in the previous live stream, right? True Hexicans look at it long term. They look at the month to month. So first,
Exactly. Yeah. So
first,
every candle, every red spike here is the combined ending of future stakes within 1 month.
exactly, all in the 1 month. So the first good insight here, just to prepare this, is that this one right here is really awesome in November. This, for people who don't know, when the month started, at some point it was over like hundreds and hundreds of billions, and after the OA unstake most of the token, it used to be like 7 billion here, and now it's down to only about, as you can see, 874. And again, back to what I was saying earlier, by the 15th, which is next month, this amount here that everybody is seeing, the 874 million hex, will have to be unstaked, because if it does not, it's going to start to pay penalty because of the 2 weeks grace period. Does everybody understand? I'm gonna repeat it again. This amount here, because we're in December already, it was supposed to be unstaked, but it's not, because you have the 2 weeks grace period. But by next week, this will have to be unstaked, or it's going to start to bleed. And the reason why that's important is because there's 100,000 T-shares here. Plus, if you move to this month here, which is where we're in right now in December, one of the big wave that we have, it used to be about 6 billion. Now it's like 5 and some change. The most important number here is that cumulative share expiring, which is 608,000. Why is this important? Is because this is one of the biggest unstaking we're going to have, which is going to help push the share price somewhere close to 17,000 hex per T-share. And the reason why this is important is because it's going to be connected to the next thing inside that I'm going to talk about, which shows how share price now in terms of a chart is about to explode. And people don't understand because there's multiple factors that helps to make that happen. We're going to go one by one for that.
So before you switch the screen, let us talk about this candle. What is the candle? It is January, right? The biggest candle we see right now?
This is still December.
Yeah.
This is still December. Because remember, some of the people, they thought, I'm going to wait. I'm going to use the grace period, right? But this is the beauty about time. Sooner or later, you have a decision to make. You either unstake, which is going to push the share price up, or you're going to start to bleed. So I always look at the monthly plus 15 days, right? The same way this used to be like 4 billion plus. And then we ended the month of November and it stayed around 3 billion for a while. But then when December started, it started to go down, because you always got to remember the grace period, right? So same thing with this candle here. When December is going to end, I'm going to give it all the way to January 15, and I'm going to revisit the candle to see where it's at. Because as much as people want to delay, because this chart is literally my sources of truth, but it could be 2 weeks delay because you have the grace period. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to focus on the cumulative expiring T-share here to kind of predict what the share price is going to do. And that's why, fortunately, since last Friday, when I got paid, I bought a lot of Hex because I was like, it's all about the t-shirts. You guys heard me say it many, many times. But people don't understand that even if the price doesn't move, if you don't follow this over here, the t-shirt price can still explode on the upside, increasing the price without the price per Hex to go up because of the share rate.
So this is what I wanted to talk about. So we have December. What will happen on January, for example? We have this biggest candle right now, and
Yes.
let us think about and simulate maybe for the next months what will happen when all those stakes will end stake. You said the share rate will go up.
Yes.
It will be about 17. What are other things that could happen in the next couple of months because those people end stake? So if they don't end stake, they gonna bleed out and pay to the staker. This is another thing that could happen. But what are other things? Like if those people end stake, what could happen to the price, for example?
Okay, perfect. Now, the thing about the price is, which I don't really focus too much on, but I know that this is kind of roughly what Richard talked about in the live stream. And again, I'm going to show a chart here. But again, it's not to trade. I tell people all the time, don't trade. Don't trade. Okay. I'm only showing this for historical purpose. Okay. This is what's the little pump we have over the last, 24 hours. But this is the key here. Let me see if I'm on the right. No, this is V2. Let me go back to V1. And this is why it's so important, because that's how the big investors in the world think about it. And this is how I looked at it too, because I was telling people I got in around April, right around here, around this area.
You can press lock on the bottom right.
This?
Then you see a bit better. Bottom right.
Bottom right.
LOG log. Yeah.
Oh, log. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. So, but what I really wanted to show people is that I remember buying around anywhere between 5 to 6 cents, on the run up, so to speak. So right now, it's that perfect long-term support that we're able to have. And before we go back to log, let me just go back here. I just want to show something. This reminds me some of the early pump that we had, especially from here, or the XETH graph, which is this one over here. So you can see that there is long-term support coming in. Let me go back to V2, V1 again. Sorry, 1 second. This is HEX ETH.
Yeah, we have already talked about it in our community today as well, that we are on a point where it always was like support.
Yes,
and it seems like that this is the whale level or something like that.
Yes.
Because it seems like that some of the whales have their average price at this price level. So you see this strong support over and over.
Very, very close to that early thing. Now, the reason why I want to say this is not relevant is because, like I said in the previous live stream, which is important, true Hexicans understand that price doesn't matter in terms of the short term. It's all about the share rate. I've said that before, to forget about the Hex ETH chart, to just focus on the dollar, because that's how you can calculate the interest that you're getting, and also that's how you can calculate the price of a t-shirt. And today, I'm here to update that even more by saying you can even scratch this and focus on my new favorite chart, which is this one over here, which is the price directly in USD, okay? Like, for example, today, and this is still connected to my Dream account that I have, we had day 73, and let me refresh because I know the day ended.
Yeah.
So we can see. And this is going to be the next big insight that I want people to understand when I say share price is about to shoot up, because it moves in function of the other. And this is what big investors are looking for. So when you said, oh, there's going to be a lot of end stake and more tokens going to come out, it's great. We like to buy when it's cheap, because then we lock it up and then it gets pushed to like a long term, like 555. Like yesterday, you guys saw the 330 million Hex that got pushed to 555. It ended up making the average length stake, it's now 4.8, almost 5 years now. So those are things that people need to look out for, because
this is exactly what I wanted to talk about. What will happen in December when all those people end stake? Maybe some restake, maybe some sell, but I want to talk about the average staking length. It just got higher to 4.8. What will happen after December? Everybody end staked. Do you think it will be longer even?
Because when you go back here, right? Let me go back here for a second. When you go back here, this is what I wanted to show people, right? So right here, this shows you the long-term trend, right? This is created by the combination of price appreciation and also the stake ending, okay? So when you look at this chart right here, when January happens, right? By January 15, there's going to be a cumulative of 608,000 T-shirts that's going to expire, okay? And again, the premise to that is there's going to be a lot of people that's going to end their stake on time. And those who want to, say, use the grass period, that's what I say by the 15th, by half of the month, you're going to be able to see, refresh this chart, and you're going to see the real remaining. And that's when it's going to push the price to go up, okay, in terms of share rate. Now, at the same time, if the price start to go back up, because in terms of cycles, I posted it on the trading chat just for fun yesterday, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, you know, that long-term support where it is now, it started to break some of the trend. Again, I don't trade, I just look at it for fun, and you can already see some of those other influencers start talking about, oh, alt season, this and that, Bitcoin going to 14K and blah, blah, blah. So it's just that typical cycle that you see. That's why you saw some of the pumps that you saw yesterday, because some of the big worlds are realizing that, okay, this could be a short-term top for Bitcoin, you know, could be a week, could be 2 weeks, who knows? But it's starting to break some of the trends. So it's smart for them to move it back into HEX or, you know, other very, very smart project, which again, to me, HEX is a no-brainer. That's one of the reasons why you see some of the pump that you saw, because people are seeing that the top crypto could be running out of steam. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Well,
And I was hoping you bring up the other chart. We just saw the dollar and T-share price. Can you bring up the chart from go.hex.com again?
Yeah.
So we saw the all-time high of the dollar T-share, and then it went down. Why did it went down? It was not because the share rate went down. It was because
no.
the
This
dollar.
is, you remember, there's two factors. This is the function of the price. This is around big payday, because remember there was 314. So this is what's going to happen. I'm going to show you again. I'm going to go back to USD chart, and just for you to kind of really see it, it's easy to mimic this right here. You see, this is the price, because we were around like 1.4, 1.5 cents. Then we went down to here, right? Now, although this went down technically from here to here, it went down to like a third, right? At the same price, at the same time, share rate basically went up like 45%. Now, altogether from 11K to 16 plus, it's more like 50%. Understand? So what does that do is mathematically, when you lose technically 75 to 80% in price, but it's counterbalanced with the fact that share rate went up about 45%, 50%. So the net loss negativity is only about 30%, which is what this is representing here.
Exactly. And isn't this the same thing that will happen again when all those people end stake on December? Maybe price will go down, but that doesn't matter at all. Share rate will go up, and we have the same situation just as we had at the payday.
Let me give you the caveat. This goes like this, okay? And I'm going to go very slow because I don't want to confuse people, okay? This is a fractal. What you're seeing here, again, no financial advice. This is just my education guess. What you're seeing here is a similar repeat of what you're seeing here. And this is how this is going to go. This is going down because of the price, the same way we just talked about here. But at the same price, share rate is accelerating, going up. Now, every other day, instead of going by like 3 or 4, it's going up by like 7, 8. Because people forget, it's exponential. It goes very, very slow, even though it compounds, and then it starts to go very, very high. So now you start to see a reversal that's starting to happen here. Now, what's going to happen is, even if the price stays where it is now, okay, but the share rate keeps going up because there's going to be a lot of unstaking happening over here, right? That price is going to start going up, because if we go from 16,300 to 16,500 and on the way to 17,000 per hex, right? Even if the price per hex doesn't change, because share price is readjusting, this thing is going to start to trend upward like this. It's going to do like a curve like this, and it's going to start to do like that. Okay. Now, if my prediction is correct, which is by the 15th to the, all the way to Christmas, There's going to be some people taking profit. The Bitcoin might not hit what people think it is. And then HEX start to pump back up. This is going to start to look like this. And it's going to shoot up and it's going to do this. Because if the price of HEX today, just simple math, right? Let's all do this live. If the price of HEX just goes back to a penny, I'm just giving an example, and you take that penny, right, and you multiply by 17,000 per HEX, just to give you an idea, simple math, that's about $100.70. Make sense?
Yeah. And
so that's we're going back right over here.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, for the long-term investor, just kind of like in trading, we'll call it the cup and handle, right? Cup, handle, and then breakout. We're talking about T-shares because, again, this is the only chart I look about. Everything else for me is just noise. Focus on this because this is how you're going to build wealth. So when people were complaining about, oh, but the price went down, and no, it's like, dude, you can buy low T-shares like you used to buy over here, okay? But make no mistake, it's not going to stay here this low, okay? If I were to do a simple math and we're here right now at about 3 cents or, almost 3.5 cents, right? And then it goes to 7 cents. That means $55 becomes 105 or 110. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So at any time, what I tell people to watch out for is that share price because it's been hanging around here for a while. This could just be the first. And then once he curved back here, from here, it can do the same way when he went from here to here. This is like a 50x, because he went from like cents and then boom. You can have the same move over here where I wouldn't be surprised, you heard it here first. I wouldn't be surprised if by March, when this thing goes away, this big stack here, by March 2021, okay, share rate is going to be anywhere between 17,000 to 18,000 per hex. And then if we take that and then we have a 1 to 2 pennies, you're looking at a share price of anywhere between $180 to almost $500, which is going to do that same, again, cup and handle type pattern like this, hang around, and then blast off. Make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Because this moving average, again, this is just math. I told people it's facts over feeling. This goes up a lot. But guess what? This is good for the big whale that hasn't got in yet because this is liquidity. They want to buy a lot of token for cheap. And then when this start to go down and you can do a little trend line, it's going to be less bumpy and it's going to start getting more and more stable. And when this chunk is done, most of the token is going to move from the weak hand to the strong hands. I wouldn't be surprised by the time we close here, the average stake length could be 5.5, maybe 6 years. Because the weight of the longer stake is going to start to outweigh the shorter stake. That's why we see the big spikes over here, which is good. That also means we're doing our job. We're educating the community. We're making people understand the value of long-term pay better. See, this used to be a flat line. Look at this, flat. Now it started to curve up. That's a good sign. So if you extrapolate that over the long period of time as crypto continue to go, because, people are still going to overtrade, blow their account, realize that staking is the way to go, especially if you build stuff over the long period of time, especially on a T-share. This is your opportunity of a lifetime because for those who I missed big payday, this is your chance because you're buying very, very cheap T-shares as of now because the price is stable. But at any time, somebody can come in and change that.
Exactly. So one thing which confuses people a bit is that the average length is an average weighted length. So if you are just staking like 1,000 or 10,000 hex exactly to the average weighted staking length, then you will get slightly lower than the average APY of 40%. Because it's a weighted average, and
I can show that
move more in the future if more and more people stake do those 15-year stakes.
1 second, I just stopped sharing for 1 second because I need to log in. I don't want to.
Yeah, of course. No, please.
No, because my MetaMask. Yeah, my MetaMask.
You talked about the big chunk, the December, January, February, all those people that are staked. That's a lot of hex, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how many of those hex will be restaked for longer time. because they probably staked that really early on, because we saw the same pattern we see
Yes.
right now really early in the year already. And I want to see how many of those hex will be restaked once people understood the share rate and share price. Because for me, for example, it took like 3-4 months, and even today Patrick is educating me on this topic even today, and it is, you can go really deep into the rabbit hole with the share rate, and it's going to be really interesting the next few months.
And good, today's your lucky day, because I'm going to be able to break it down for you so you'll be able to see it, because this is the subject that's very dear to my heart, and I can explain it very simple. I just want to make sure I log in first. So, all right, let me share back in. I'm logged back in.
The only thing is, I think you're over expecting the share price increase is a small bit, because there are days where the share rate don't even goes up a bit, like just 3 points, 5 points, 10 points, and this will go on, so maybe on a certain day, like after some 0 days, there is like 50 or 100, and every year you see like this spike in the future. In the future,
and by the
chart.
way, you're absolutely correct. But here's the problem: people don't understand. And I was talking a lot about on the Hex Pro chat, and I know that from friends. There's a difference between life. Mathematicians are good, but there's also something called practicality. That's just where I excel. Human behavior. I'm on the field. I do sales. I do things like that, which is going to be another big gift I'm going to give the community today: how to better onboard, because I have a method. Because all of that goes to the window when human psychology gets really high. Because what Patrick is saying, I want everybody to listen, is absolutely correct. Because there's been days where it only goes up by 1 or 2, like the last 2-3 days, whatever. But this is when everything is stable. This is what I wanted to show, the power of time. Price doesn't move. It's just stable. Everybody just do Hex like it's designed to. You stake ends. It comes out, you take some profit if you want, and then you restake. When this normal thing happened, this is why it only does the 3, the 5, the whatever. But when a mega pump happened, and no offense, when some people never had a lot of money in their life at some point, you see something that goes up 100x. Again, it's nobody's fault. You get very tempted to want an emergency end stake or behavior change. I'm not telling anybody to do any of that stuff, but when that does, the chart that you're seeing, now I'm sharing back my screen, so hopefully you guys can see, the chart that you see over here can start to accelerate. What stuff that's over here, anything that's past 50%, if somebody got 100x on his money and doesn't want to wait the time, he's just going to emergency end stake. So what you need to understand is a lot of human behavior that no matter how smart you are, you cannot put that into a chart. What you can do is look at the human psychology. There's a reason why they call it the market cycle cheat sheet, right? It's because of the human psychology, right? The strong hands are typically the people that are okay to delay gratification, the people that, you know what I mean, whether they get this money or not, it doesn't matter. Like this is my dream account here, right? I reconnected back. We're getting 57%. At some point, this thing was worth more than $1 million. Does it matter? No, because I'm playing the long term. So when the price goes back down, when this happens over here, I'm not worried. I'm smiling because I'm just accumulating. This is going to be my next 401k for the next 15 to 20 years. The same way people were accumulated here, and then one day somebody came in and moved it over here. Right? So you need to understand that human psychology plays a big play. Okay? So what I'm saying is, if we continue to do the normal behavior without crazy price appreciation, yes, this number over here is going to start to go up very slow, right? 2, 5, whatever. But it's still going faster. Again, it's still going faster than what it was when Hex started or when I was in April. Because people don't understand, it took us 5 months just to go up, like, actually more than that. It took us 8 months just to go up 10%.
Yes,
we went up 50% in literally less than a month. Guys, big payday hasn't even been a month. Like, people need to understand. I know it's crypto, but like, we're moving very fast. It's just people don't realize it, how fast. And on the next pump, more emergency unstakes going to happen. This thing is going to ratchet. So when you hear me say 17, 18,000, this is conservative. Because if we can
May I interrupt you, because it's not the case, Karim. Sorry, it's not the case, because when people emergency and stake, they pay a certain penalty,
Yes.
and the code only adjusts the share rate if this person would get more shares by restaking everything he or she got out of the end stake for the same time, for the same length of time.
Yes.
So
So it doesn't make more.
if he emergency end staked and made still a profit, but still paid a certain percentage in a penalty. So the share rate adjustment is, there is no need that the share rate adjusts that high, because this person did not receive so much return of investment. So the share rate doesn't have to spike up.
I see what you're saying, but I think the bigger question, and we can get maybe a dev to clarify. The bigger question is, does the share rate readjust based on just profitability, which I think it does, or does it based on profitability minus the penalty? Because that was also another ongoing debate. Because
profitability minus the penalty, because it just takes care that you cannot have more shares if you compound for the same time length. And
I think we got that. The share rate will not go up if people emergency end stake. But what will happen when people emergency end stake is that the share pool gets smaller, gets diluted, and people with shares, those get more valuable at this point. And from this point on, the ecosystem of Hex grows even faster, because now the supply is bigger.
Yeah,
so I think from this perspective, Hex is, Karim is a little bit right there.
Yeah. So, and I'm glad what you just said, Patrick. That was what I was getting at, my caveat, because all I care about, again, my perspective is this: I'm just trying to kick you out of the pool. Do you see what I mean? So when I say, maybe I used to use better language, when I say share price going up, I care about the people in the pool. Example, SEMP, right here. I'm getting 57%. Up to 60%. Why is that? Because those are Genesis shares, right? A lot of people that got kicked out of the pool, when they want to re-enter the pool, the best they can get is about 40%. You see what I'm saying? 38. So as long as you're not in the pool, so to me is when you emergency unstake, this, you get out of this pool. You see what I'm saying? So my payout per T share is going to go up, and my interest rate is going to go up higher because you're no longer in the pool, because the pool will forever continue to trend downwards, because every time you unstake Genesis shares to go back in, you need more HEX because the share price went up. So that mechanism allows the people that stay in the pool to continue to increase their API percentage to have more money. So that's really what I rely on in order to grow that wealth. So that to me is the most important thing. But to go back to what you were saying, what I'm saying is, when you see something only going up like 2 or 3, that's fine. But remember, right now we're very kind of stable. Okay, we're starting potentially to head back up, right? If I go on the 4-hour chart or whatever, you get to see how, like, again, no promises. I don't care. It can continue to go down. I'm still buying, but at any time this could change, right? And if this change, everything change. Everything changed, because as the price goes up, this will start to ratchet faster. I don't know the exact number, but I know it's going to start to move faster, because when the value of accounts start to change, people's behavior, right? It's all about behavior, start to change, and things will accelerate. And when this start to accelerate, and let's say the price trend upwards, then this will start to go up also. Make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Combination of both. So all I'm saying is, as a bigger screen here, all I'm saying is my pattern that I'm calling out is this, to me, looks like this over here.
And what Karim is also saying is, if there is some price increase and suddenly more and more people are doing emergency end stakes and so on, then you're doing even better if you just do nothing,
Exactly.
Because then 50% of all those penalty goes to the daily payout pool, and then the daily payout per T-share is higher because of 2 reasons. The first reason is because the share pool got smaller because of all the emergency unstakes, and because you got those penalty for those emergency unstakes, you have an even higher base, which gets then splitted every day to
Yep.
the total share pool.
That's
So
the
it's
caviar. The inflation
it's
will go up too. So your daily inflation will start to go up as well.
yeah. So you will definitely, but there is a higher probability that you will do better if you just stay in your stake, do what you said you will do, even if Karim wants to have you out of the pool, you know.
The beauty is this. That's the game, right? It's the battle. It's the battle here because you have an option. It's all like, you know what I mean. You decided to exit the pool. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so to all the people out there, yeah, if you see Karim posting, yeah, you should consider emergency and staking, then be careful, you know.
No, I would never do that. There's plenty to go around. But again, goes back to the nature of Hex and the question that you guys asked me in the beginning. What makes me so excited, so bullish about Hex? This is the super most important thing because it's going to happen no matter what. And this is the definition of up and to the right. Up and to the right. Whether we do it fast, whether we do it slow, it all depends on human behavior. But the trend is your friend and the trend is clear. And this is how I did my thesis. When I go 555, people call me crazy. I'm like, no, it is very smart because long term, and I don't care about price appreciation. I'm going to say it again. I don't care. Just by doing the multiplier, it's already sick gains. Now, any price appreciation on top of that, it's just bonus. The same way we ratchet up from 7 to here, that's like another 10x. Then there's a consolidation phase, and then we moved up again. I think we're right around that consolidation phase again because you see, everybody thought, oh my God, Hex going to crash after big payday, whatever, right? If that were to happen, share price would have probably be like here, but it didn't happen. That shows that the stability is there because all those early people that stake long term, they become the new floor. Make sense? Because that's another thing why I love Hex, right? On Uniswap, there's no spoofing, there's no fake order. The bid is just there, it sits there. For you to sell the price of Hex down, first you need to have Hex. And yes, maybe you were early adopter or whatever, you were here. So in the beginning, you can scare people, but that money is being shifted, and you can see that here, based on this representation. That's another bullish signal because this keeps going up. That means that the hands are getting stronger. That means that you have that plus T-share price staying stable and trending upward. Those are the two mechanisms that allows you to say, hey, you know what? I can build wealth. I can put the money here. The money is not going to disappear. Make sense? And let's not forget, on big payday, you know, because I got nothing to hide, I'm going to show it here. On big payday, I had a double stack. My big payday was 28 million. See? Because I did 555 and a bunch. My average stake is almost 13 years, 12.25. So I actually had a full, it wasn't 30%, it was a full stash. So which means on this dream account here, the cost basis is actually half now because I bought a bunch when it was over here. Around my price point was around here, this zone here, right? But because I got my big payday bonus, if I were to just look at it like entry point, because like Richard perfectly said, you can have a $110 or you can have 2.5, right? So now because I stake for longer, I got more than that. So my cost basis is actually even lower because I got double the coins. Make sense? I can't touch it for 15 years, but nonetheless, it makes me happy to see, hey, I'm building wealth. The main account for the long term is safe and it's growing, and the share price increase allows it to be protected because we need that to happen so that people that don't care about Hex long term, they don't keep getting more and more token to dump on the market. Make sense? They need to restake longer or for more Hex in order to be able to sustain. And that's why it creates those natural floors. And this is what exponential is. Like I was telling people, exponential, when you zoom in, it looks like this. It stairs. One stair, two stair, third stair. The same way, if you were to look at this parabola here, right? It looks like stairs. That's a stair. That's a stair. That's a stair. That's another stair. So imagine this whole thing here, right? It's like a one stair. And we're still barely about a year old. So this is where the mindset needs to be very important. Same thing with the share price. When you go back here, it looks like that. It looks like a stair, right? That's a stair. That's another stair. It takes a little bit longer every time, but we're going to get another stair soon. And we're going to stay there. We're going to continue to grow. And that's a sign of something that is healthy, that's having long-term property and is backed up by time. And then you just need to keep an eye on this thing over here. If you're new to Hex, or if you haven't really bought a lot yet and you're worried about, the price running away too high, because you need to understand, we're trying to onboard people. So we can't let the price go too high, because then people can't really buy a big bag. You see what I'm saying? Especially those who are working. So having the price stable or not too expensive just yet is a good thing. We need to shift the mentality, right? Hex is different. Yes, it's crypto for the gains. That's why you get 40% APR. But you need to understand and let people know that this is long-term minded. Don't expect the price to go up like every 5 minutes, or it's going to be there tomorrow. Like, understand the long-term value. Make sense?
Of course, yeah, totally makes sense. I also have some questions here from the chat rooms. There is one regarding the share pool, more or less snapshot. Abracadabra, you can think about it that so it's 00 UTC. The day rolls over to the next day. Right now, we know what the dynamics, so every unstaking and staking from the last 24 hours have been. So we already know a highest total amount of T shares, and now in those 24 hours until the next rolling over, only so the total T share pool can only go down when people who say they will stake till today are going to unstake already today, then it might get a bit lower within 24 hours. But it is so it's never like really set. It's like the maximum is set in the beginning of the day, and the really setting is made in the end of the day.
Okay, and another good way to understand this is it's always 1 day delay. So example here, see, the day ended, right? 10/8/75, which is kind of matching what we did the day prior, right? Now,
exactly.
if you go to Hex Live, which I like, you'll go here. It tells you total T share. This is live as we speak. It's 10/8/76 now. Before the day end, which is in another roughly 22 hours, right? This number constantly change. And then by the time 7 p.m. Eastern time, my time comes in, whatever that number end up being is the number that end up showing up here. But again, I always advise people in a good way to zoom out. Look at the long-term trend. This is what I meant. This was the climax right here. The day when, OA and staked everything, we only got the 3.69 max, was 50 million. And then since then, the trend going down, going down, going down. Then bounced up a little bit. And then people start to unstake and new stakes are coming in, but it's going to continue to trend downwards because, once again, every time a Genesis share gets unstaked, so for example, over the next 2-3 months, we're going to have a cumulative amount of this 874 here, this 5.75, so almost 6+ billion here, then another 3 billion. That means at 10 plus 2 plus another 2.5. So it's like about 12 to 13 billion hex scheduled to be unstaked over the next 3 months, so to speak. Now, a lot of those hexes were pre-Genesis shares, so to speak. And the reason why that's important is because when those T-share exit, right, in order for the total T-share pool to remain the same as what it is now, you need that same amount plus about 60%. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
for sure.
Makes total sense. The only thing is I'm not sure if I agree 100% with the thing that those 6 billion are Genesis shares, because
all of them are. I'm just saying
what I am seeing as well is people also doing short stakes, like that they take about 10-20% of their entire stack and roll it over like monthly.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's
if you had to guess, how many were Genesis? If you had to guess, how many are Genesis?
I will put at least 45%, because I've been watching this chart for a very long time, And before, because remember, big payday was less than a month ago. Again, time, it wasn't that long ago. So the big short-term one, they were literally the day after, 2 days, 3 days after big payday. I remember seeing the November bar all the way to 400 billion. Then it went down to like about 8 billion. And then it took a while, but it got all the way down to here. So most of those other stuffs here, most of it were already there a month ago, pre-big payday, because, you know, some people, which is smart, they don't want to pay tax this year. They want to pay next year. And then they want to unstake right around March, because in the United States, April 15 is tax day, for those of you who don't know. So it's also strategic to do it right around that time. So, but again, I agree. I'm not saying they're all Genesis share. The premise here is that a lot of them are, even if it's just 40%, if we want to lowball. I think it's more than 40%, but let's just say 40%. To make it simple, any Genesis share that comes out, I said that before. Let's say something you used to buy one T-shirt for 10,000 hex, and now it's 16,000 hex. Just to maintain total T-shirt in the pool, you're gonna need 60% more. That was my point. So let's say if the total number is 13 billion, and we just do a low estimation of 40%, right? Just to be safe, that's still a good 5 billion-ish. That when that 5 billion comes out, another roughly 7.5 to 8 billion needs to go back in order to maintain total T-share pool. So this is the mechanism that I use to extrapolate long-term, saying this number here, total T-share, is continuously going to be trending down over the years. It might take a while. It might hang around here for a little bit, slightly go up. It's going to be like a dead cat bounce. But as the bigger share exits and you constantly need more, and if we don't feed them more to come in, it's going to start going down, which is good for the person that is staying in the pool, which is why the total T-share number is going to start to go up. Make sense?
And this brings me also to a question I have. What do you think this total T-share pool, what do you think will it look like in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years?
So just like imagine exponential, I'm going to blow people's mind here, is imagine exponential, but in reverse. So for example, it goes like this. Now it finds the floor, right? It's going to be very slow grind. But then this is what I predict. When the price go up so much, I'm talking about another, let's be nice. Let's say another 10x. Let's say another 10x from now. What's going to happen?
Let's even say 30x, that we are at 10 cents.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want people to get the main idea. Let's say the price goes up 20 to 30x. That now we have a 5 cents to 10 cents a hex. What's going to happen is that now this ratio here is going to start to go down way faster. Why? Because the early people that bought their hex when it was very, very cheap are now exiting. The same thing I just explained. Every time a T-share Genesis comes out, you need 60% more to come in. But because the price went up 20x, when somebody used to buy 1 million hex for $4,000, and then the price went up 20x, and now that same million hex costs $80,000. When $80,000 exit, you're gonna need another 100,000 to go in just to maintain the share price. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, now he's lagging. So Karim is blowing our mind. This is awesome material that he has to share.
Are gonna start getting paid stupid amount of money.
No, Karim, give me a second. You just lagged a little bit. We couldn't hear you. So just start again.
Okay, I'm gonna start again. And I'm gonna use a practical example. Okay, so let's say the price went up 20x from where it is today. Okay, so 1 million hex used to cost, let's say today's price, roughly a little less than $4,000. Okay, just for example. Okay, and then the price goes up 20x. When that happened, that means that 1 million hex now is worth, $80,000. You follow me?
Yes.
So now when the early Genesis person that bought 1 million hex for $4,000, so to speak, is exiting the system, cashing out or whatever, just like we explained earlier, you need to return the same million hex plus the 60% in order for total T-share to stay where it is. But now it's going to be much more complicated to do so because the price just went up 20x, which means in ratio wise, if $4,000 that was bought way back when exits, you need 80 grand to come in just to maintain that. And if that doesn't happen, total T-share is start to go down faster.
Yeah. But what you mean is you need at least $80,000 to maintain the hex, but you need like 60-70% more hex to maintain the same shares.
Oh, exactly.
That would be 30,000-40,000, right?
Probably on top
of that, yes, of course.
Yeah, on top of the 80 grand. So thank you. Yeah, you made my case for me. So I was just trying to be conservative. But yeah, so now for every $4,000 early Genesis cost, you need like 130 grand just to maintain total T-share. And I know that's not going to happen because it's not sustainable.
I mean, it's possible that the next guy takes longer than the old guy, so it might be a bit less, but
you're right.
It would be also only good for Hex. It's also only good for Hex scenario, because if he stakes longer, then he trusts the system more, and which is also good for the long term.
But just to keep it simple, to not confuse people, I just want people to see trend line. It's all about the trend. Thinking long term. That's what I told my friends, zoom out. Don't worry too much about the day-to-day or the 4-hour chart. Look at the long term. Look at the trend. So the trend here is that, as I was saying, it's a slow grind right now, but also because the price is stable. So it's very easy. And to your point, this is how people that unstake can restake for longer and still be able to kill that 60% gap because the bonus share is taking care of them. Make sense?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because for staking a year, you get just 20% of bonus shares, and for staking 10 years or longer, you get 200% more.
Exactly.
Staking
so
bonus.
Mathematically, anybody that unstake and restake for more than 3.5 to 4 years is going to get more T-share, because mathematically, if we had 60% plus premium and you get 20% bonus for extra year, so that's why you see that 4.8 is stable. You stake 4.8, you get more T-shares.
Let me try a thesis here, and you guys have to say if I'm right or not. Okay. Let's say you have your Genesis shares, and in some years that is like $100,000 in Hex, and you want to stake longer, but you have to buy more Hex to stake for the same time to maintain the T-shares. So what you could do is stake even longer with your 100,000, would be the same as buying Hex from the market and put it on your stake. Isn't it the same? Like you could buy Hex to put it to your stake to get the same shares, or you could stake longer, and the staking longer is the same as buying Hex and putting it on your stake.
Actually, it's better to stake longer, because then you have a longer time frame where you can participate in the decreasing total T-share pool, which is increasing your daily payout per T-share. And if it's not increasing your daily payout per T-share, it means more and more people join the system, which means a higher price. So again, win-win.
So, and look at it this way. There is two ways to look at it, and you guys are both right. Okay, and your hint is good. The thing to always remember is this: the trick of restaking for longer. The reality, and I want to warn everybody right now, it's only going to work for so long. And here I'm going to explain it. Okay. Right now, because the share price only still a lot, but went up 60 to 65%, that trick is still working. Because if you restake for, let's say you never stake more than a year. Okay, I got to start with this premise. You never stake more than a year. Your unstake price went up 65% from your Genesis share. If you restake more than 4 years, you're going to be able to get more T-share. Now, if you fast forward 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now, okay, and then share price went up so much, plus the price that we talked about, the price appreciation, it gets to a point where hypothetically, again, just a hypothetical, it's more than 200-300% increase, because in between when you were staked to when your stake ends, so much things can happen in between, right? And now all of a sudden that trick doesn't work anymore, because the longer pays better bonus cap at 200%. All that to say, if you unstake a Genesis share and you're trying to restake, but the price is more than 200% than what you originally staked, even if you go the full amount, you will never be able to get the same T-share. This is why, once again, I urge people to think long term.
Like the same T-share value within your portfolio.
Exactly the same T-share value. Right now, it's working still because we only went up 60 to 65% more expensive.
Yeah.
The moment, and this is where I said share price chart is so good, because it's not just about the hex per T-share, it's also about the dollar price. Because right now it looks like 65%, but if the dollar price goes up another 10x, 60% expensive becomes 600%. And at that point, if you miss that boat because you were gambling with your hex, you were not staking long term, you were playing all this whatever, the price will leave you behind. And this is why I say all model looks good until human behavior gets involved, and then it's going to be crazy. And this is why it's so perfect, because for somebody like me that's long term, price goes up 100x, account has multi-millions of dollars, I'm still okay. I don't need to unstake. Why? Because I know everybody else, the people with the short time frame, have been exited. The price increase is also creating that protection barrier. So I don't need to unstake or emergency unstake, because my payout per T-share is going to be crazy. My dollar value per day is going to be crazy. It's probably going to be thousands of dollars a day interest, which now incentivizes me to just relax. I don't have to cash out, because now I like the daily gains. I like the daily inflation reward, because like Richard said, it's not technically interest, but to keep it simple, we say interest. But this is the incentive. This is how I tell people, don't be afraid of the big whales. The big whale are your friends. They don't need to trade, because the incentive is so good for them that even when the price goes up, if they used to get, a couple $100 a day, now they're getting a couple $1,000 a day. Make sense? Without trading. That's the value, and that's the understanding. And this is why this is bound to go down, trending down. It's grinding right now because the price is fairly stable. But after the next big pump, and then it stabilizes itself around, let's say we do another move like this, and then we stay stable, total T-share is going to start to go down faster. That's what I say. It's a reverse parabola, meaning it's going to grind slow, and then it's going to start going down faster and faster and faster, because it costs more money to replace the T-share that's now gone.
And exactly. Actually, I for the German community, I even create a term for that, which is called Zinspower, and Zins means interest in the German language. So it's like to maintain your power of interest, your interest power. I don't know if you can say it, quote it like in English as well, but So for the German community, I say to maintain your Zinspower.
Yeah, we can really play with the German language, and the German language is so beautiful. We have words like Kryptosparbuch, and it's like crypto certificate of deposit in one word. Or what Patrick just said, that Zinspower is power of interest in only one word. We can do those things.
Amen.
You guys, we went really deep the rabbit hole, and I want to get out of it a little bit, because we have a lot of new viewers as well. The Hex community is not as old as the American community. We have a lot of new viewers, and I want you, Karim, because you are pretty much a pro of the share rate and share rate and the system. What could you give for example, to a new Hexican? What advice would you give if he just starts today, or didn't even buy any Hex? What would you give him for an advice?
Good. No, and that's great. And this is going to go to the other Easter egg I want to give in terms of like recruiting and how to break certain things down. And again, just repeat again, this is not financial advice, but this is what I would do, and this is what I do with some of my relatives. So the first questions I always ask them is, what is your time horizon, right? Even professional financial advisor, they always say, most people, number one mistake is they underestimate how long they're going to live, especially with technology advancing. That's important. And number two, they don't have specifics in terms of what is their goal, what is their target, what is getting rich for you, right? I always tell some of my friends, like, what's your timeline? Like, do you want to make X amount of money? Do you want to have a certain type of lifestyle? Because this is two different things, and that's usually the best thing to always think about. And then getting into Hex, best advice always is don't trade. Meaning, when you buy something and then you stake, to me, that's still not trading. Trading is like when you're staring at the chart all the time and you're always trying to do the, the buy low, sell high. But even when you get a good entry, then you exit too early and then you lose more money. And that's very dangerous. I have seen many, many people lose money even during the bull market. It's the craziest thing. So that's the biggest, most best advice is don't try to trade. Think long term. Watch the videos in the communities. I would say right now is a great entry point simply because price is stable. And again, in HEX, number one value is you want stability. Once you understand the value of interest, you're getting close to 40%. Price is stable. You can dollar cost average in, build your position, build your T-share. I call it the dream account, right? I have my dream account, multiple account, but this is my dream account so they can see. There's another thing in sales that I always like is don't believe what people say, watch what they do, right? You need to have validity. If somebody's going to tell you to do something, always ask that person, hey, do you have skin in the game? Are you there as well? Are you thinking long term? Are you doing what you're preaching, so to speak? That's very important because if you don't have that, everything else is useless. And our community is great. So I will say reach out to the community, ask questions. There is no such a thing as a stupid question. If you don't know something, it will hurt you in a long term. Because if you don't know why something is going up, you won't know why it's going down, and you will always lose money, right?
So your dream account is truly a dream account. I've never seen such account with such a long commitment. You said your average is like 13 years. But for a starter, what would you say would be a perfect
so now you're lagging.
like today the average is 4.8 years, and what would you give as an advice would be a good average staking length for like a new person?
This is a great question.
Oh, you dropped out again? He's lagging, or is it just me?
It was you actually. Now we are back on it. It was you. Just go ahead, Karim.
Yeah. So I love the way you ask the questions. It's all about, to me, staking length, because that solves everything, right? Everybody got different pockets. So it's not about, oh, I got to put this money and this and that and starve. No, staking length is the key. Once you understand T-shares and everything we talked about, everybody should have what I call a dream account. And again, let me give that definition again. The dream account is money that you do not need today. It's money that you know that you're playing on your future, right? That your future self will be very, very happy to see, because the goal isn't to just make money. The goal is to build wealth for a longer period of time, whether it's going to be you using that or generation to come. There's a gentleman in the HEX Pro chat, he's 85 years old, and he got 15-year stakes because he understands the value of long-term pays better, the T-share that we talked about. So I don't care if it's one hex, one heart, it doesn't matter. You should have yourself a dream account, multiple account. And also in terms of safety, just like Kyle was talking about, I had another trick that I use because I'm not a crazy dev, but in my dream account, there's barely any ETH in there, okay? I'm like so paranoid. It's a separate account. It's by itself. There's no ETH in there, whatever, because it's staked for the long term, right? The only time Ethereum is going to go in there.
I mean, I hope you are keeping the key on the hardware wallet as well.
No, absolutely. And more importantly, too, I'm so paranoid. I have a seed phrase, and when I generated it, I didn't even use the copy function on the computer. That's how paranoid I was. Even though my computer is very good, my company have very strong like protection and stuff like that, but still, it's like no computer, like I wrote it down on a piece of paper multiple times, safe somewhere. It's just be extra careful. And the best part is the less you have access to it, because there's no funds in there, the better it's going to be. And because it's a dream account, you don't have to open it for 10 to 15 years.
You don't need to have any ETH in there or any other coins. Just delete everything. Just keep your written words on a really safe place. Yeah. Most of the time I'm saying like where you also have your certificate of birth, because I don't know how it's in where you live, but I did not lose that for the last 30 plus years,
No,
so
And that's
It's a
the
good
best
place
way.
to put it in my
Yeah.
point of view.
And the reason why this is the best is because, again, now to be practical, because I do that in sales and onboarding for people, is that not everybody's going to know how to use correctly a hardware wallet, let alone sometimes lose it, break it, or whatever, or be scammed when they have to update. So that's why I'm looking at it like my sister or like my mom or my grandma that's not that tech savvy, but they're very good with their paperwork. They're very, like you say, like passport, important document. It's like in a vault somewhere or very safe, and they're really good at writing it down. So I make them write it down many times, and they put it with all of their very safety paperwork stuff. Make sense? So that way, it's something that's scalable, because that's also the key. Some people, they're not really good with the update, and then I watched too many bad potential for people like they don't know, and oh, your hardware needs to be upgraded, download this and that, and then they get scammed out of their fund. So I'm not saying it's all like that. If you know how to do it safely. But in terms of onboarding, because less equal more, you have to do something that's easy enough that people can duplicate. Okay,
So
that's not
let's go. We talked a lot about the security already on this channel, and today, good that we had it on the show as well. But let's go back to the average staking length. The average staking length is 4.8 years,
Yes.
and not everybody can have a dream account, or maybe everybody should have a dream account, but everybody should also have an account where he can get into the stakes earlier. So,
Yes.
what is your advice? What would be a good length for the new guy to stake?
Well, ultimately, again, it comes down to two. You got the dream account that you forget about, and then you have the account or two where you can do your staking ladders. Okay, because the power of the staking ladder, as everybody know, or if they don't know, the real power of staking ladder is that you stake expecting for something to potentially bad happen, so you have the money available, and then if nothing bad happened, you just restake and it just recycles in. So it's more like a defense mechanism of like, I'm not trying to sell, I'm just here in case there is like an emergency. Okay, and that's the reason why, even though people have a very cool staking ladder and things like that, I said yes, it's good, but always separate that from the dream account, because the dream account goal is to really maximize the share rate to the highest level you can. Okay, so once
and it's also that you don't pay attention to your dream account, because if you don't pay attention to it, only then the compound interest can really work. Because if you pay attention to it daily, you have like maybe years where you say, yeah, it's okay, and then you get real like more and more money inflow into Hex, and then you have the gains together with the price appreciation, and this might shake you out. That's why I don't recommend, like, for people putting too high stakes too far out. Only if they can forget about it, right? Like literally forget about it until
that's the key. That's the science, because I got it for a lot of my mentor and even a famous movie, because it's something you don't look at, and then one day you open up, wow, there's a lot of money in there, right? So it's one of those things that you guys in Germany definitely master. It's that discipline, right? Less equal more. Most people don't earn, or they overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Okay, even if it's just a couple $100 a year, when it compounds, it's a big deal. How many good stories we already saw, right? People changing their life, paying their debt.
Yeah, I mean, a friend of mine made $150. He made over 15,000 euros. So over 100x in less than 300 days.
Exactly, because once you understand that and you understand the macro, just for 2 minutes here, where number one, crypto is here to stay. Okay, it's not going anywhere. Number two, they continue to print money. For people who don't know, for the Biden administration, the person that they want to put back in is Janet Yellen for the Federal Reserve. It's not confirmed, but that's the nominee, and she's known to print money. You guys in Europe already have negative interest rate, which you already have. So again, good tip for onboarding: keep it simple. In sales, there's something we say: most people, especially the elderly people, they're more afraid to lose what they have than to get something better, even though that thing is better for them. It's crazy. So you have to keep it simple, and you have to break it down in something that they already understand. Like, hey, do you have a savings account? Okay. Do you think long term? Yes. How much does that pay you? Just asking questions, and then you put into perspective. You don't even need to worry too much about share rate, crazy cool. So that's only if they want to ask. then you can feed into that. But when you just show them that, listen, over there you get negative interest rate, your bank, if you're lucky, or other vehicles giving you less than 1%. Even in some of the places in crypto, you're getting like 8% at best sometimes. Just the simple fact that they can get more than 20% interest. That's what I used for my sister. I didn't use crazy number. I just used something simple. And she already had a savings account and 401k. We just say, hey, you're going to get 5 times to 10 times more the interest rate here, compounded over time. And you can just keep doing the same thing you have been doing. Your life doesn't change. You continue to work. You're busy. Just put the money here instead of over there. Because I spend the time to explain the macro environment, the money printing devaluation, and I just reminded her that she's not doing anything new. Guys, that's the key. It's because then they get scared. Oh my God, crypto, you're not doing anything new. It's the same concept. It's just this over here is going to give you a greater return over a long period of time. And you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to trade. You just need to do how to do start stake, end stake, Uniswap. That's it. Keep it simple. That's the secret.
Yeah, you can only fuck up if you trade and then you lose the money, right?
Exactly.
They are still
discussion
scared,
in the chat right
and
now.
with the short-term volatility, it's actually hard to tell them you're not doing something else, because if they have a look, then they
can look at
will
that
see, that they are doing.
Yeah.
Well,
it
brings us to the next point. Patrick, you said your friend just made 150x into $15,000, 150 euros into $15,000.
100x, okay, just give it
100x, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And we have a little discussion in the chat right now, and people asking you, Karim, what do you think about the 80x for 10 years? It's the old simulation that Kyle had with the old numbers. Now we had an interview with Kyle, and he said, well, the numbers were different back then when he made the simulation. Now the date, some calculation is different. Have you your opinion on that?
Good. Yes, I do, because we talked about that in the Hex Pro. So I just want people to understand something, okay? And that's the same thing Kyle also perfectly said in the interview. Simulations are great, and we're doing the best we can, but it goes back to what I said earlier. People underestimate the power of human behavior. Human behavior will always mess up any calculation that you have. Now, the system is always correct. And again, I'm going to bring some wisdom here for people to realize. When we say 80x a lot of the time, the calculation that we were focused on was just pure interest, which means price doesn't go up, which means because the Hex system is so perfectly balanced that everything is connected to one another. And then when one letter moves, the other letter gets readjusted. So meaning, for example, we didn't expect people to start doing a lot of 555 stakes and things like that, which I personally believe it's a good thing because I promote a lot of that in the community because I'm thinking long-term and it's better for people. This is the reason why nobody expected a 263x in less than a year. Let's be real. Okay, but it happened. Why is that? Because people start to change their mindset. So when I see this stat going up here a lot, that's a good thing. People are getting educated. They see the value. Even here, they see that, and this is what's cool. So there's multiple way you can skin a cat. There's multiple way that leads to Rome, right? How do we get the 80x? It's a combination of two things. If the price never went up or continue to go down, more token gets to circulation, and then we're going to start to get a crazy inflation when those massive emergency end state comes out. Because the base of the daily 3.69 interest is going to explode. Or we don't because people stake a lot, but then price goes up. So what I want people to understand is that a certain simulation with an average stake, Cal said something around 2 years, was generating that thing. Now, if we're doing a 2x that or 3x that and continue to trend upward, that just means that, hey, maybe we don't get 80x, maybe we get 40x or 30x, but the price of the token literally double or triple. So you're getting your 80x one way or another if you look at it on a dollar amount, because the system.
If you look at it on a combined semi expectation, then you will will get it.
Yeah, and this is why, guess what? Your life just became easier. You have this beautiful chart here, which we didn't have until about a week ago. And that's the key because it's a matrix that calculate both. Because the two factors here are the actual price of the token and also share price. So in other words, if you calculate 80x based on a third of a penny or less than that for whatever reason, but then we do 30x but then the dollar is 3 cents or 30 cents, you're still getting your 80x. That's why I tell people, forget any other chart. This is now that it's live, this is the only chart that you should focus on, the T share price, because that's really what's going to give you that. But also remember that human behavior is really not just unpredictable, but you can just see from incentive side what's most likely to happen. That's why you get those peaks and valleys. Okay, as the price stabilizes itself, stakes increase because people are trying to get the yield, right? And then as the price start to go up, people change their mind, man. Human being, I've seen it all the time. That's what I use the in my previous live stream. I used the EOS launch phase as an example because I was there. I bought it when it was less than $2. It went all the way to $21. And then I wrote it all the way down because I believe in the long-term mission. I was a true holder, but then some people started to do different things, and the team that promised something didn't do. But again, I learned from the experience. So with this system, I just need to trust the computer, so to speak, and the AI and the smart contract. So that's why I tell people this is the key. Wait until the next pump crazy happens. Let's have another live stream, and then you'll be able to see the same way nobody expected this, right? They thought, oh, maybe it's just going to be around here, and then boom, explosion. It's going to be the same thing. So you're going to get your 80x. It's just, it could be split out into different things. Combination of price appreciation and also the number of the inflation. But remember also, we're still very early in the curve, very early. You can get literally 20x just the last year.
When you say 80x, I'm always afraid people think, okay, 80x is way too high, but you have to remember the 80x was a simulation just for your hex. So if you have like one hex in 10 years with the 80x, it's 80 hex, right? So this went down because now we have different data. We have back then Kyle used like 2 years of average staking length. Now the staking length is 4.8, so almost 5. Kyle calculated with more BTC claims and all that stuff. So we have different data now, and now we say, okay, our hex could 10x, for example, in the next 10 years. But this is only the hex side. It's not the dollar. Hex was designed to do 10,000x, and nothing had changed on this side. So price appreciation could still give you 10,000 of x in the future with the price appreciation, you know?
Yeah, and the best way to explain this is people need to understand a simulation by definition. A simulation is subject to change because of the participants, right? So there's nothing that failed or whatever. It's just the worldview needs to be upgraded because the people in the simulation also change, which I think is a good thing. Because as we continue to educate people, talk about share rate and the value of longer pays better, it's almost to be expected. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 years from now, average stake length is like 6.5 to 7 years. I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't be surprised. Because as this trend continues to happen, and a lot of the shorter stakes start to push longer and longer in terms of, because it's a weighted average, right? Because people are starting to really want to build wealth, especially some of the core community, what I call the true Hexicans. They want to build that wealth. They're going to have their dream account. They're going to have different things like that. So when that weighted average starts to shift, I wouldn't be surprised if we cross 6 to 7 years in about 1 to 2 years, which will be a good sweet spot to be in when you separate your stakes, just like kind of how you do in a traditional market. You know, when you go see an advisor and they do like, 80% equity, 20% bonds or stuff like that, it's kind of saying, hey, we'll play with this money over here, but then this money here is for the long term. And as you get older, so to speak, the ratios start to change and balance more like, okay, 70-30, 60-40. Make sense? Because you want to take less risk and get more guarantee. And if you're early Hexican and then you got a 100x, 200x on your money, you don't care about where the price is. You already sold in the money. You just care about your T-shares and how many daily interest can you get. That's just
exactly. And there is also one misunderstanding from the chat here. There is somebody saying on the DLive chat, with no price appreciation and no penalties, your 100k hex could turn to 42 million hex with an average 25% APY. But the thing is, where you calculated that, we're in a traditional calculator, and those traditional calculators don't work the same as hex, because in the calculator you used, you're anticipating the 100k hex for an average 25% compounded. And that's not how the hex APY works. It's not a 40% compounded, so it's just a 40% APY, and it's a dynamic number, and it changes over time. And as you're getting paid because of your interest power, because of the shares you have in the pool, you cannot calculate it as APY compounded for 10 years or something like that.
Yeah, but hold on. To be fair, as a devil advocate, because the compounding is done internally inside the T-share, I think what he was trying to do, which is a good, is like, hey, it's 40% right now or 38 or whatever. Let me be conservative and do 25. Yes, this is daily and he changed daily. But if, again, less equal more, when you do the onboarding, like I talked
No, but what he did was 25% compounded over the years. So like that, you start with 100k. After 1 year, you have 125.
Yes.
And after the second year, you get 25% onto the 125 and so on. And that's not how it works. So it's based on the dynamic of the system, and based on your daily payout per T-share. And your daily payout per T-share is not for the APY compounded.
Yes, it's just for the day. But again, the cool news is that if people just keep it simple and just pick a number that they know that trendy for the rest of the year, it's not going to go below that, like a 25%, that's a solid number to be able to move on forward. Because guess what? We could be here in a year or two, and then this has a triple digits. Like people, like again, it could happen because as more hit circulation, less of stake compared to the bigger number, because we know the OA is not staking, that can change this thing dramatically. So anything can happen. Keep it conservative and just make people realize and remember that when you add the interest plus the price appreciation, I mean, this thing's going to do wonder for you. So just keep it to the long-term trends. Understand the long-term trend. Once you do that, you're always going to be taken care of, because you cannot get every single details because of human behavior, but you can see a trend. And right now, the trend is telling us that people are getting educated and they want to stake for longer. Because I remember when this thing was like less than 3 years, right? And now it's 4.8. And it continued to trend upwards, because this number here is also getting bigger and bigger. You see the graph start to lift up.
Actually, before Big Payday, I also remember 4.7 years.
Exactly. So, because remember, it's a trend that takes a while to move, because it's very dynamic and emergency and staking and stuff. But it's good to see that it's trending upwards as the day goes by, because you got to remember also too, if let's say nobody stakes anything, and then 100 days goes by, that 4.8 goes down naturally. Make sense? Because time doesn't stop for anybody. Because remember, it's 4.8 from today's date. Okay? So as we get closer, let's say a year later, like we are right now, 373 days, the simple fact that it's maintaining that 4+ years and trending upwards, it's a good thing. So this is also important to put into perspective, because time doesn't stop.
Exactly. So, I mean, my approach more or less is Hex is a blockchain-based time deposit. You can have your own savings account with it. And as it is a perfectly designed new cryptocurrency, well unknown to this point, you can also have the same price appreciation as we have seen in the last century with Bitcoin. And on top of that, you can make up to 1,000% by staking long term. I just put it like that, because when I crunch the numbers and I go through my brain, like how I think the dynamic of the system will play out, I'm seeing not more than 5 to 7x for 10 years and 10 to 20x for 15 year stakes.
Yes, which again, in the beginning, that you cannot always predict, because it's dynamic and it could change at any time. That's why I want people to remember that, because it looks like that because you are to do this calculation, you have to have some constants that's not moving. And I'm here to tell you that those constants can move anytime suddenly, mainly due to human behavior, which is why this is a blessing. Because remember, when we started this, we didn't have this. This is like a week old. I tell
Yeah.
people, focus on this. Focus. This is the source of truth. It's share rate plus share price, all in once. Because you can see when this start to happen, this could go up without even the price moving. So when you get the new people come in and they want to know some of the tricks and stuff like that, focus on the share price, the T's. That's it. So when they talk about like how many X's and stuff, focus on the T share. How many T shares do you have right now? Okay, you have 10. Great. Okay, let's work a plan. Let's get you to 100. Okay, or let's get you to 1,000. Or let's say, like I do some monthly payment for one of my friends. He was trying to do, okay, I want to get a share every end stake every month or every 2 months, right? But to keep it simple, I say focus on the T shares. How many T shares do you want to see expired every month, every 2 months? Make sense? So that will give you a stability, a trend, and you're not going to be confused because you don't want to be caught up in the up and down, the daily vulture, because now you become like the other crypto. We need to really get the community to understand that we're trying to be different than everybody else. We need to start doing things a little bit differently as well. We're using the aspect of the CD to get the older folks coming in because that's something they're very, very knowledgeable about because they heard about it before. So we use that as an entry level, but we have to show them that our system is.
I mean, they did that their entire life, because when I was young, I still got like, I don't know, 6% for my savings account, something like that,
Yeah, it's a
And
dream.
there were times with 15%, like some centuries ago,
I remember parents telling me the same thing, and grandpa, because in my business I have a lot of older folks, and they're like, "Oh my God, those were the good days." So I tell people, like, again, you don't need to try too hard because then you sound like a little bit like a scam. You don't want to do that. The moment you even say 20% APR, it's already more than the dream because the last time they remember getting something close to that was like 20, 30 years ago. So just even with 20, 25%, it's already very, very good. What you want to do is build
I mean, actually, I also want to lower those expectations. That's why I'm so. That's why I'm keep talking about this miss expectation of ADX for 10 years ROI, because. Like we already told that Kyle wasn't doing a simulation like how much he might get in 10 years. He was only doing a simulation if the code is working as intended, like with all the parameters he put it in. And then we as the Hex community, we grab that and say, oh, our dev Kyle said ADX for 10 years. Yay.
This is why we have a Crypto Goose here in the chat. He's saying ADX was listed in the white paper, and the next he said is, this is why I wanted to expel this. And what I want to say about the ADX is, and Patrick, we talked about that before, why is it good that we do not do ADX in 10 years in our Hex? Why is it better that we only do 10x in our Hex?
Here's the
Can you
first
explain
thing.
that?
Yeah, here's the first thing. First of all, nobody knows, okay? We can actually do ADX 10 years. So let me make something very clear. Simulation is a simulation. Nobody knows. If the parameter change, it change, period. Because this could sound like this, and then a year later, human behavior change. A lot of unstaking because the price went up so high or whatever. Now we have so much token in circulation. Next thing you know, we start to get, a 10 hex per t-shirt. Next thing you know, you redo the math, and it's like, uh-oh. Because again, once
the thing is in Kyle's simulation he calculated with an average of 50% staking. So he also calculated only 50% staking over the big payday. When over the big payday only 50% would have staked, then we would have seen a share price spike up to 24,000 per T-share, something like that. And as we only saw the spike to the 16,000, the share price won't move that fast over time.
Yeah, but
so it's an exponential curve, and now we lowered those exponential curve. Yeah, it's
So
not.
what you're saying is the explanation why we don't have the 80x, we only have the 10x for 10 years. But I want to go back to the original question, and Crypto Vince just explained it. 80x would give everyone way too much money to cause huge pressure for the price, you know? So everybody would make huge gains and a lot of hacks and could sell them. And now, because this is not as high anymore, people cannot sell as much anymore and the price will not go down. So the dollar price of HEX will be higher than with the calculation of 80x. That's why, in my opinion, it's even better that we only have 10x in HEX for the next 15 years. But Karim, like you said, for sure it can still be 80x. What is if the system changes, more people stake and so on?
We got to be very, very careful with the words that we're using, because again, simulation by definition is never something that is for sure. That being said, when we're talking about gains, there's different level. Again, just like the stock split, you can have a 10x in number of tokens, right? But then the price goes up 100 times. You will make more money in terms of gains than if something goes up 80x and the price never moves or goes down. So we got to be very careful about the wording that we're using, because ultimately we want the same thing, but we just got to make sure we explain the difference between gains, which typically universally, when you talk about gains, people will look in dollars or in their local currency. They want to say, okay, I spent this amount of money, this is how much I got at the end. That's what we call gain. When we talk about X's, there's multiple variant here. There is the number of tokens, which is what the calculation was based out of, and there is the actual gains. So I would take a 20x in tokens any day with a 100x pump in dollar instead of 80x and then no price appreciation, because when you do the math, you get to the same outcome. That's why I need people to free themselves from that mindset and only focus about this chart, because this chart computes everything for you. It does the Xing and it does the dollar amount. So if you focus on this number here and track that in terms of your X's, in gains, you're going to be fine. So everybody can be on the same page, because the system will do it all at once. Okay?
Go ahead.
Okay, perfect.
So let me quick try to do something here to show how important those t-shirts are. Can you screen share again the price of HEX? And you said you came into HEX. No, the price.
I was already, no? Oh, sorry.
The HEX dollar price, for example. So you said
Uniswap.hex.vision, he meant.
Yeah,
he means
Uniswap.hex.vision. You said you came into HEX in April, for example. So zoom out a little bit so we can see at what price, for example, you bought back then.
Let me be fair so people can see also, not in log, in regular, because that's what I saw. So I like that because they can see the base. I got in right after the big pump. So
okay, so what was the price then?
All the way to the top.
So
around 0.3%.
My average was probably around like five-ish.
Exactly. So you see, it's like it's not the top, it's not the bottom, it's in the middle, right?
Yeah.
So where's the price right now? It's also right in the middle. So it's like you didn't make any gains, you didn't lose any money, but now go back to go.hex.
No, hold on. I made gains. No. Big difference. I made gains, because two things people need to understand.
Yeah. Well, it's not my point. You didn't do any gains like the RG3, for example. RG3 went in first day, huge gains. You don't make those huge gains, you made some gains, but that's not the point. So go to go.hex.com now and show us the graph of the t-shirts in dollar. So now let us look at where is the April here when you bought in.
April will be around usually right after this pump. It was right around here.
Yeah, and exactly. You locked in the share rate back then, and now it's like 60% more. To buy it today, you would have to pay 60% more than you had to buy back then. And even though you had no big dollar appreciation, you will get the appreciation over the next 15 years because you have an awesome dream account.
Yes. And also because people need to understand, when you're in an accumulation phase, which true accumulation never ends, is people that didn't come early like me or whatever or later, you actually like it when the share price is stable or semi-low. Because make no mistake, right around here, it becomes expensive for the average person, because from here, right, it's like less than $50. And then Next thing you know, if people keep, oh, we want to pump, it goes here. Next thing you know, in a matter of literally, this is just 20 days, it becomes almost $200. Something that you could buy for $50 can become $200, and not everybody can make $200 to buy a t-shirt. So that's what they need to understand, that this is the opportunity, because I am telling you what you're seeing here, and it's already starting to arc back up. It started to do this again, right? Because the price is starting to potentially, we don't know, but do his thing, because Bitcoin is about to consolidate or whatever. So this is an opportunity right now to get something for $50 a t-shirt that can be easily $200 to $300 over the next 3 months. That's
Karim, another thing, you know that you can have a discount on this chart, because this dots are showing you
at
how
the end
much
of the day.
you need to pay in dollars for a t-shirt if you only stake 1 day. If you stake for more than 10 years, you can
Get the bonus.
you can get the t-shirt for 2/3 the price. So
Exactly.
on this chart, if you go long term, you can have a discount up to 2/3 of the current price.
That's very correct. That's very correct, because you can max out the bonus up to 300% on a t-shirt, and that's to me is the key, because all those people that understand the long term and see the value, they're like, okay, I'm trying to build my dream account or my long-term ladder, and they have to think in t-shirts. That's what we spend a lot of time doing, the education, and continue to do that, because when they see the price doing whatever, they can just rely on this chart here to see what that means. Because you can have a huge, oh my God, the share rate went up so much after big payday, whatever, 16,000, which caused this, right? But then the price also went down because of the early people that wanted to eat their marshmallow right away, that created this, right? But guess what? For the person that's coming in, remember people used to say, oh, I missed the big payday and this and that. No, you're right around the same t-shirt price pre-big payday, okay? Day 320, which is roughly around here also. Make sense?
Yep. Yep.
So this is where you get that perfect balance, which, by the way, funny joke, is very similar to me in April. You see? So technically, anybody on the stream right now that's new to Hex, that hasn't bought anything, you're buying almost at the same price that I got in when I got it. And that's why it's so powerful, because of the stability aspect, and we're still very, very early, right? Now, of course, I have the big payday bonus and stuff like that, and I started to earn interest. But the point of the matter is, you still have a lot of opportunity to get pre-big payday type t-shirts. And I want to warn everybody, remember that this happens literally in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we did almost a 4x in price. So which means at any time, again, I'm not saying it's no financial advice, but at any time, because it's so illiquid, it could pump. Just today, over the last 48 hours to 24 hours, right? Price went up, like, look at this. I mean, it's a wick candle, but that could be a change of trend right here. So you never know. Next week, we could be here or more.
Yeah, it looks already like a trend change, and I don't know if you are aware of, but in the big payday candle, so right after we had the big payday, like not even 30 minutes after, I already told the community, guys, the dip is in. We will have a side phase right now, but don't expect the price to go lower than 0.2 of a cent. And there is another thing I need to address right now from Crypto Goose in the chat. He's constantly saying that the chart is also based on share ratio. The pool is at all-time lows. So if the pool gets bigger, you will see a downtrend. That's correct for the chart of the payout per T-share, but it's not correct for the chart daily T-share price in USD. So maybe you have looked at go.hex.com for a week or 1.5 weeks, because this chart is a pretty new chart, and it's the daily T-share price in US dollar terms. So the share ratio doesn't matter in this chart.
Yep. The same way, I'll warn everybody to keep watching the dot that's going to be printed tomorrow, when the 8 p.m. close, they're going to see. So what I want people to watch out for is that right now, we're getting that perfect accumulation zone. Let's just say, to be simple, it's about $50 a T-share, more or less. but I need people to understand. My prediction is this is a fractal pattern that's going to repeat. We're basically here. You know, just like anything, breakout, retest, and then boom. And then once you get away, bubble, boom. So breakout, retest, right? We're going to bubble here. It could take a month or two or whatever, but I tell people stop looking at the chart, the price of the chart. Look at the T-share price, because that's what long-term big investors are looking for. That's why I'm buying every time I can, every paycheck, because it's still very, very low in terms of T-share, especially if you're long-term minded, because all you really care about is T-share.
Exactly. And again, if you're going long term, you can get a T-shirt at a discount up to 2/3.
Exactly, up to 2/3, definitely. And then also, I'll tell people to keep an eye on this number here, right around 100, because once we cross 100 to 100, this thing can shoot up. This can become like this and gap up. Okay, because once we get back to here, which will be the equivalent of doing this here, bubbling here, and then from here, at any time it could just shoot back up, because right now we're being helped by the fact that the price was fairly stable, although the T-share price is going up, but the price is going to be stable. What's going to start happening is there's a domino effect, and I'm going to use this example here. When people start to buy more, this is what happens, right? People start to buy more. This is me in April coming in, whatever. I buy more, T-share price goes up, goes up, goes up. As T-share price goes up, people want to cash out, because when this candle happened, remember the big wall, the 10,000 ETH? A lot of the early people were like, oh my God, I just made 100 times my money. Let me cash out. So what ended up happening is that during this phase here, the price doesn't really need to go up too much. Just the share rate adjustment is also going to make the dot continue to rise. Make sense? So that's why it creates such an explosion, because you have two mechanisms working in your favor here. If you're a long-term minded guy that stays in the pool, right? Is price is going up, which makes the T-share more expensive, which means the people that really want to do the long term, they're going to be here for the long term. They're good for the project. They're not just going to easily dump. And then the people that are cashing out that don't think long term, that's fine. And they're helping the share price going up, because the share price is being recalculated when they exit. Make sense? So that's why it's a double mechanism, and it's going to be more and more severe. The same way when we get to the next wave pump, I wouldn't be surprised if the next dot's peak can go all the way to $500, and it's just rinse and repeat. That's the key. It's going to get more and more aggressive, because less token available, low liquidity, so to speak, but also because share rate is going up as well. So my biggest advice, I tell people, if they care watch about charts all the time, this should be the only chart they're focused about. It's going to make everybody's life easier, because every key component that you're worried about is represented in this chart. The share rate calculation, and also the price in USD. And like you perfectly said, remember that this dot is plotted by the end of the day. It doesn't account for intraday volatility. Make sense? It's just the end of the day. When this thing gets printed, right? When this thing gets printed, the dot gets printed and everything gets printed. Which
exactly. So the dot up there is just the price on the snapshots midnight UTC.
Exactly. And which, by the way, long-term minded people or big investors, traders, whatever, macro traders, they don't look at the hourly chart. No offense, right? They don't even look at the 4 hour. They look at daily, monthly, and things like that. So this is what this represents. That kind of gives you the status of the system. The same way this says 875 here, but when you go HEX live right now, live, this is actually at 894, right? So if nothing changes by tomorrow in about, what's the time? In about 21 hours, right? It's going to say 895 here. Or some people can unstake at the last minute and then make it go down. Make sense? So look at it as your barometer for your long-term view, and understand that you're still in that accumulation phase, that there is going to be influencers already talking about alt season and this and that. You can see that rhetoric. So I wouldn't be surprised, again, no financial advice. I wouldn't be surprised if HEX pumps the rest of the month, because BTC is getting to consolidation phase, Ethereum as well. So
I mean, really, please, no expectations, and don't stress too much, yeah, because as we have seen today, we got a shootout over 8,000 Gwei, so like in the Ethereum price, and this shoot up immediately got sold down. So what it tells me is that there is still a resistance, that there are still people who want to sell, who just are waiting until the price gets to their level, and then they want to go out of the market. And like what you said before that it's still possible that we go more or less sideways for 1 or 2 months more. I think that's more likely than straight to the moon from.
Absolutely. And by the way, it will be better and it will be healthy. This is why I said this is a pattern like this, because what's going to happen is it's going to just do a cup, maybe not as V like this because it's more economic mass, but imagine a cup like kind of like this and then kind of like that. And the reason to that is because the price just has to stay stable, and the share rate increase is going to naturally make the dot go up. Make sense? Because again, you don't just need price to go up for the dot to go up. But at any time, the price can show up. So I tell people, if you're thinking long term, especially right now, because we are key levels, it's a great time to accumulate. It's like those people that get too greedy, right? Oh, I want to buy the dip. I want to buy like even they tell, oh, it's going to keep going down. It's going, and then boom, and then it leaves you behind, right? And then you miss the opportunity. You had a example. You had a nice, 15, 20% dip, but then you're waiting for the 40% dip, and then it just goes back up and it leaves you behind, right? The same way in Hex, due to big payday, we went like what was the number? Negative like 60 or 70% down, right? Whatever. So this is a great accumulation zone, which is good to stay on there simply because there's still a lot that has to come out, right? But this is the beauty of getting this knowledge, so you're not in fear. This is a great accumulation zone. Those who want to eat their marshmallow now, let them leave. You have a great opportunity to buy a lot of token without pushing the price against you. Because remember, there is no more AA lobby, right? This is all we have. So this is the last big chance for the next 3 months to accumulate a big amount. If you're new and you want to build a position, that's the greatest way to do it.
Yeah, and we already are seeing like people accumulating. They go in dollar cost average because today this spike was also because somebody was actually he was stupid, because in a liquidity pool of I don't know where we are, like $6 million or something like that. He wanted to buy 200,000 worth, so that's a huge slippage, so why don't I don't know why he's splitted his money like into, let's say, 10 parts, 20 parts, something like that, and go like in steps. Like,
look at this. I remember, you see, this is a good ratio because I look at it just like that too when I look at in terms of ratio, because you're getting stupid.
That's a good ratio, 150,000.
When I bought on Friday, at some point it was like 170. At some point, the ratio was lower. Let me say this: the ratio was lower than some of my initial buys. It's just to show you how great it was. So what I'm saying is some of those big spikes here, people need to understand. The big long-term minded people, they're not trying to scare anybody. They just don't care. They just want to buy a bunch because they see the ratio being so good. So they just buy, and then it creates the spike, not because they want to spoof. It's just because they're coming in. When a big whale comes in, right? Rising tide, rise all ships. So this is all it is. And he comes in, he grabbles a bunch. The little people that want to exit, they exit, but it's not going back down to where the pump was. You see what I mean? That's the key. And it stabilizes itself. And a couple more keeps happening like that over time. And more importantly, you're just watching this thing here. As we eat this, the next time you're going to see a big buy, potentially for long term, of course, it's not going to retrace much because everything else would have been gobbled out. Make sense?
No, it doesn't make sense actually, because here you only see the staked hex, and you don't see the liquid hex which are free in a wallet. And I'm thinking
I'm
that
talking about the
if
people
I
that.
have like a million hex to sell right now because I want to sell, I'm just waiting for a higher price. Then I don't even stake it because I'm preparing to sell it. And you also see it with one of our biggest dumpsters who is also keeping his what
Those are the
did he
traders.
had
Yeah, you're right.
in at most like over 300 million. Now he is under 200 million hex, something like that. But he's also not staking, so you also don't see those hex in this chart.
You're right, but again, that's to me, I call it short-term thinking. Those people, sooner or later, just like trading, because I make money in doing this. That sooner or later they end up being wrecked. There's always going to be a move they don't predict. Then the price going to leave them behind, and then they're not going to sell if they buy somewhere where it's above their cost basis. That's going to be different. So it works in the short term. You look like a hero, but in the long term, those dips is going to get bought out because the people that I'm referring to is the people that buy a bunch and then they stake. Make sense? Like that 330 million that stake 555. Those are the people where I'm thinking over the few months to March. Again, I give myself to March. The major party of those people that buys and stakes to the long term is going to be the one that create that stability that keeps moving up. So, but you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Short-term minded people are going to do what they do. That's
because right now, right now the price is perfect to dollar cost average in to scale in, and if you see like a lower price tomorrow, you can be happy because you get more hex. Yeah, if you say and you can, and hex is a system, a new market where people get paid for keeping the price up. So when the price is already pretty low compared to its last all-time high, your risk of getting wrecked or getting in a minus is really, really small. And if you then go in with a dollar cost average, it's even lower. And actually, do you really care if the price goes up in the next 10 days when you're buying at dollar cost average in every day of this 10 days? Of course, you could have get more hex now at the first day if you went all in, but it already feels good, don't it, when it already goes up, and it doesn't feel good when it goes down. But if you have like on the second day when the price is lower, still 90% of your money because you're dollar cost averaging in, you feel great, and that's why I like the approach of our dollar cost crypto as well so much, because you cannot get wrecked mentally with this type of strategy. And with hex, you should dollar cost average in and dollar cost average out, and that's where the staking ladder comes in. Of course, you also have your dream staking ladder, but it's still a ladder. You did not put the whole amount 28 million hex on 5555.
But what
It
I did,
pay
which
you
is the
better
point,
actually,
I made
but
sure
to spread your risk on the time frame is pretty crucial as well.
Absolutely. And again, this is what this comes down to. At the end of the day, right? The main Hexican that spend the time, that want to learn this, that understand the value of the long term, understand that, and I call it last time, you're buying the dip when you're staked. Because as all these actions happening, all this trading, unstaking, this and that, you're just sitting relaxed, you're just earning, right? My dream account is doing over 45,000 hex a day. I don't have to trade, I don't have to look at a chart, it just grows. And over the long term, you're going to win because share price is going to protect you. And over the long period of mine, as you keep accumulating like some of the other people that think in long term, the value of the bottom is going to rise. The value of the pool is going to continue to rise. And that's really what this is about. And that's what we need to focus on, talking to people, onboarding new people, focusing, like Richard said, building new things, building the community, educating people, and onboarding. It's a better use of our time. Now, of course, when people have questions, technical questions, we have to be able to answer them questions. That's great. But over the long term, onboarding is the key, and helping people understand the true value of Hex, true value of staking, so they don't wreck themselves, they don't blow up their account, right? And they get something that can potentially build wealth. Once again, it's not about just a quick flip. It's about building wealth, right? When you build your dream account over a long time, price goes up 10, 15%.
Yeah, and actually, what do you have if like $100 or even $1,000, you double in 1 week or 1 month
Easy.
or 1 year? Who cares, you know? But it's still not really much money. But if you go for the long run, yeah, imagine if you're still early, you know, you're still early in the game,
Because
and
what people don't realize is that interest that sits here and accrue, right? What they don't realize is that they only look at it based on today's price. When you keep building that interest that's accruing, and all of a sudden the price did a 10x and a 20x, guess what? The value of that interest also did a 100x or 10x. You see what I mean? And that's what most people miss because they don't see it. That's why I like go to hex.com, because you can see the interest. Because when you use hex.live, it doesn't show that for whatever reason. It only shows, you know, the main hex you started. It doesn't show the big payday hex. So you get to really understand that.
I mean, the thing with Hex Live is that they're only working on Staker.app right now, and that they are working on a web version of Staker.app. So I guess in the end it will be like web.staker.app or something like that. And that's why you don't get those updates there. Yeah.
I mainly use it for the total T-share because that's where I get to track what's going on.
Yeah,
But yeah,
me too, actually. Yeah, because there you can look like 24 hours in the
and
front.
amount too.
Yeah, so like more or less it, but you have like the highest amount of the day. It's if there is a lot of end staking going on today, it might be even lower than the rate yesterday. But if not, you know more or less like where we are at the total T-share pool.
You see, I love seeing that. You see people that have been like holding and holding, but you can see how no matter what, they're gonna complete it most likely by the time the 2 weeks is up, because I'm looking at the human behavior, right? That's what I was saying. This charge could be off by about 2 weeks, but within that 2 weeks, I'm expecting those people to actually end up doing the end staking, because most likely the human behavior says that the person doesn't want to get charged a penalty, right? So they may hold it for 7 days or here 9 days, but eventually they will end stake because they don't want to lose 1%. So that's why I said time is working in your favor if you're playing the long-term game, because sooner or later, within that time frame, they're gonna have to unstake. The same way.
Yeah, and at this point, I also have a tip for you. If you have Bitcoin free claims, yeah, with like not that high amount of Bitcoins, yeah, if you had like 0.1 Bitcoin at the snapshot time, and you have like those small free claim stakes coming out in these days, then you can wait until the next weekend. And on the weekend, you just like in your time zone, the UTC 00 is I guess 7 p.m, right?
Yes, 7 p.m.
So you just go in the evening after 7 p.m. You go in there, you go at end stake, and then you go at edit at advanced, and you pull down the quay. So you need to keep the gas.
Low.
Yeah. So it's quay and gas. Yeah.
My story.
You can put down the quay, but you need to keep the maximum gas.
Yeah,
and then you can go down to even 10 or 15 quay or 20 quay, something like that. So like $3-4, and then you just wait and wait for go asleep, and on the next morning you have a look.
You were eventually thinking, yeah. No,
it should be done,
tip. It's kind of like a rush hour traffic, because I work in the electricity business and solar. So it's like there's rush hour traffic on the electricity too. Just like this, you wait for that good timing. Funny joke for me is that I didn't have any Bitcoin Snapchat or whatever, because I was missed that time for it. So I just use.
I'm mentioning it because I know lots of people are having them, and most of the people were like putting their Bitcoin free claims in the beginning of their ladder, yeah, just to try it out, and then over time they bought more hex with ease, and then they staked longer
Yep.
times.
Yep.
But like the free claim for most of the people was the first tryout,
Absolutely.
and so most of the people just choose the 350 days.
Yep.
So those are coming.
And typically, another tip is weekend is always good. There's usually, on average, unless there's something crazy, there's usually less trading in the
Yeah,
weekend. Gas price historically is a little bit lower in the
yeah.
weekend, so that's another tip for people to utilize. And that's why I'm so happy about the 2 weeks grace period, because you can still kind of see what the gas price is. Because I've heard from people the only reason why they couldn't unstake before was gas price was too high. So we're just waiting for that to come down so they can do it.
Exactly, or even if you're at on your holiday, like abroad, in a different country or something like that, you don't have to worry about, because you just come like 1 week, 10 days, 12 days later, and then you still be fine. And with our weekend approach, like if there is a really, really, really busy weekend, just
Mhm.
skip it and wait till the next weekend.
Absolutely. Which brings me to one of, again, my favorite topic I wanted to talk about also today. Now that we talk a lot about the share price and get to that dynamic, unless there's another question, I want to
No, go ahead. We have
yeah.
some questions, but go ahead for what you wanted to show us right now.
Yeah. So my main thing is just to really, how do we move from here, right? As I remember, you guys were also asking in the previous live stream with Kyle, like, what can we do better as a community, and how do we do better onboarding and things like that? That to me is very passionate, and this is one of the reasons why I love looking at this chart. It's not just about tracking what other people are doing, who's in the pool, whatever. I know this is going to take care of itself because time is in our favor. I just love to see numbers around here all the way to here, whatever, go up, because that shows that community is learning. And there's something that I've learned a long time ago in sales and marketing or whatever. Number one, it is highly unethical for you to recommend or talk about something you do not fully understand. So it's really important that people spend the time learning all the ins and outs so they can explain it to people, but so that they can explain it in simple terms, right? And one of the really good trick you can always use is the comparison bias. You know what I mean? So when we're talking about CD, you can talk about that in the real world or whatever that's named in your country, but keeping the interest rate conversation at the bare minimum. Oh, sorry. About the bare minimum, something simple, and also focusing on asking people questions about what are their plans for the future, right? Example, and I'm using my friends or my family member as an example. Before I start talking about, oh, Hex, this, that, crypto, and overwhelm them, I always ask them, hey, what's your plan for the nearest future? First of all, do you have a savings account? Are you planning for the future? Things like that. Because sometimes it's like, hey, no, I'm just paycheck to paycheck. And then you can work a plan with them. Show them that you care. Spend the time, sit them down, show them what's their goal they're trying to do, and then build a plan for them accordingly. Right. So for my sister, because I knew she had that savings account built up, but she's like, hey, I'm trying to take, a little bit of risk just to earn a yield, but nothing too crazy. And more importantly, she says, because I asked a question, something that I don't have to look at every day, right? So I can spend my life, do what I want to do, but I just want to protect myself against inflation, all that kind of stuff. So asking questions is very important. And then from then, you can now put into perspective for people, especially the elderly, because again, most elderly people are afraid to get something new than to get something that they already have that's like working, although it pays them less. So first you got to show them that you're not losing anything. This is similar to what you already have. Yes, it's crypto, but forget about that. It's your long-term, right, savings account. But the best part is it's earning that interest. You have full control. It's not in the hand of the bank because they already kind of, don't really like the bank and stuff like that. And now you can build it based on that. The same way Bitcoin used the narrative of gold, right? And then say it's just like gold, but then you get the appreciation on top of that. We need to have more message like that. Stop just doing the typical crypto message. Oh, price goes up, X, this, that, no, because we don't realize it, but we're still thinking like traders because we're still trying to time the market, right? Instead of saying, hey, we're putting the money here. like I do with my sister, literally, you had this, $30,000 just sitting here doing nothing, right? We can move that money over here. Price gonna go up and down, volatility, yes, whatever. I know what I'm doing. I'm recommending something that's safe. You have full control, and you don't have to look at it. And on average, and I told her you're gonna get about 15 to 20%. That's what I started with, 15 to 20% on your money every year. That's it. Keeping it simple. And then she started calling me when the price keeps going up, whatever. And I just calm her down, like, hey, remember, it can also go down. It's temporary. But the main premise is safe. And now she's just building her T-share stash. So when we do it like that, people are not going to call us a scam or be afraid because they're like, oh, it's too good to be true. And most likely they're getting educated, they're getting full control. And because I believe in people, I believe in common sense, once they get the main points and the gist of it, they get more confident. Without even you knowing, they're going to go spend more money themselves and then build a bigger account. And now they can do the dream account, like I call it, and then start to think bigger for the future. Make sense? But we have to keep that premise. Stop talking like traders. Focus on just keeping it simple, asking people questions, show that you care, right? So it's not just like, hey, I want you to buy this thing because the price goes up so I can make money too. No, go deeper than that. Show them the real value. The same way when I first learned about crypto and Bitcoin, the fact that I could send money back home fast without paying crazy fee, that really resonated with me because I know people that do that every day, that need to do that pay crazy fees. Make sense? That becomes our tool for onboarding. And then price appreciation, MAT gains, is just a side effect. Because if you're getting 1% interest and now all of a sudden you can get 15 to 20% and it constantly potentially grows, you're already winning. And then if the price do another, what it's designed to do, right? Up to 10,000 over the, 10, 15 years, that's just bonus on top. But you have to be able to close the deal, so to speak, and explain it based on the worst case scenario. Say, hey, worst case scenario, you're going to make 15 to 20% on your money. I can't use the word guarantee, but worst case scenario is like that. Best case scenario, look at all these gains. Make sense? We need to pivot the language, and I think that's going to be the key.
Yeah, that's a crucial point. The onboarding is like
do we really? Because it's. I don't know, yeah, but cryptocurrency tend to be pretty volatile,
Mm-hmm.
and the hex market is a pretty small market, and like single players can influence it.
You're absolutely correct. But again, this is the differentiation between can and will. So for example, when I set the expectation like that, right? Secret of life, right? Setting proper expectation, just like I do with my customers at work. We're always trying to exceed the expectation, but you never go below the expectation because that's when they get upset. If I said you're going to get 20% and you end up getting 50%, nobody's going to call you and say, hey, I'm upset because, I ended up getting double the money that you told me I could get. Make sense? So you got to be careful because euphoria is good and bad because people get excited and they want to sell their house, this and that. And then when the price corrects 50, 70, 80% and they get shaken out, now you're the person they're going to blame. Make sense?
Yeah,
you're the one getting the bad call. So you got to understand that we're here for the long term. I'm talking about long-term trend. When I can talk about 20, 25% annual growth, it follows the long-term trend. Make sense? So no matter what, you want to timestamp this video, do whatever you want, come back to me 6 months from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, I can still look at it and I can say, this is what I said. Look at this. This is where you started. 15, 20%. We do the math. 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years, it still plans out. That's the key. Because the dream account is the core. The dream account is what people stay. We need to change the narrative of crypto of like people FOMO in, they get burned. And then when they get burned, they got two decisions to make. They either exit and they never come back, which is bad, or they stay, they last to the dip, and then they become the long-term holder, which is good in a way because they
it's more the hex game. People FOMO in, but then they stake. So in the long run, they will still be fine.
That is true, but that
something like that. No?
Again, I'm in the business. That doesn't scale. It's like you're saying it's kind of like bad recruiting in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like
I know that.
We're gonna recruit 1,000. 800 is gonna go away. We're gonna leave with like maybe 100 if we're lucky. That no, we obviously there's gonna be a Pareto efficiency no matter what. But it will be good to have a premise where The people that are really high risk taker or younger people, whether you tell them low gain, high gains, they're already all in. They always want to come in. So they're going to come in. I'm talking about the long-term people, the people with the big wallets, because we need to understand the demographic that we're attacking. This is CD. And historically, CD is the older people, so to speak, the retirees. And by the way, funny enough, those are the ones with the biggest wallets anyway. So you need to appeal to them more than anything else, because that's the long-term growth, that's the stability, and then we'll get the rest of the people. Because the rest of the people,
because when I look at the marketing of our founder, I don't see the same kind of marketing. Because when I look at Richard's marketing, it's a high focus on what Hex did. And I mean, I agree with you, and I would like to.
By the way, there's a difference between what Richard can and can do, and then the community. I'm talking about the community, because when you start from nothing, you got to, again, what he used the word, scam like tactic. It was just to get the original bootstrapping, right? Because in the crypto community, there's always going to be people that's going to be like kind of like the gambler mentality. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. And that's why idea is that, hey, if you like to overtrade or whatever, well, might as well trade here instead of over there, right? We'll get still some value, right? Some viewing is better than no view, right? But I'm talking about in the future. We're talking about how do we scale from here, right? Practical step. How do we get more hodlers of last resort? How do we keep increasing that bottom? So every cycles that we're going through, the next cycle, maybe we'll go to 5, 10 cents, and then we correct back to 2 cents. But how do you get people not to sell? How do you get people to understand the long-term value? Those become the long-term holders. They're not going to say, even if the price is 2 cents, 3 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents, it's a better ecosystem value for the long run. Some will come naturally, like myself, because they're just going to do their research, because the hex code is that good and it's battle tested. That's a fact. That's what gives me the biggest confidence. But I'm the type of person, I like to add value, right? That's why I wanted to be on the live stream today. That's why I appreciate what you guys are doing. So how do we grow? Because some people, they want to learn how to proper onboard and not get the negative aspect. Because I've also talked to people, they know a lot of people, but guess what? They're afraid to talk to those people because they're afraid of the backlash. They're afraid of being like, oh man, they're going to call me when the price goes down. They're not used to crypto. They're going to blah, blah, blah. And I say, wait a minute. The problem that you're not seeing is you. It's because you don't present it the way that's appealing to them that makes the most sense.
But you know what is my problem, more or less? Like over the summer, I told my chat, please come now. Please come now. Don't come at me when we're over 1 cent. Please come now. Yeah. When did they come? In the 2 weeks when we were over 1 cent. Yeah, good. All of them, like literally 90% of them. Yeah.
And I can
right now, since big payday, I'm really, please come now with your friends. Come now, And again, barely nobody is coming. So I don't know how to onboard effectively in the dip. Yes. I don't know it.
Let me help you out. Let me help you out.
I'm trying,
Yeah, let me help you out with that, because actually accumulation in the dip is actually the biggest wealth transfer. And by the way, this is not just crypto. Every big company, even my company that was big, it was the time, because there's a cycle that you see in the stock market a lot where company gets listed, the stock crash because they need funds to build, right? And then the big banks start to buy it like pennies on the dollar for multiple years in a row, right? The company's doubling inside, doing better things, but the stock never moves. And then when they accumulate 80% of the stocks and the shares, now they start to pump the price like crazy, and then exit a little bit as they go. Those are just regular market cycle we see. First thing, understand about delayed gratification is really means what it means. Like, stop looking at the price. This is the real exit, the real mad game. How we're gonna buy the golden yacht? I can tell you right now, it's 10, 15 years from now. So right now, all the deep this and that, it's irrelevant. It's just noise. Focus on the onboarding. Focus on talking to the people, staying consistent, right? I'm in sales. I follow up sometimes 10 times with the same customer before I get the deal. But that's what I'm in the
Yeah, I mean, what I was also wondering or thinking about, may it be good if we are doing like something like Hex workshops, where you have like a 2 times like a week in separate workshops, where you
Yep.
have the first part where you get to know like security in crypto, and then how to install a MetaMask wallet,
Yep.
and then you leave them with here is one way to easily buy ETH, and here are 2 or 3 other options if you want to.
Absolutely.
And then we meet next week, and then we are showing you how to get your ETH to your wallet, and how to buy Hex with it, and how the Hex staking works.
Absolutely. Perfect example. Look at the community. Everything you just said. Like, again, I watch those little details that gets lost in the day-to-day and drama. Like, look at the site, hex.com. It used to not be like that. Boom. It constantly gets better. Look at the community. More channels are popping up. More help is coming up, because the more people see us coming around and around and around, and this is something you learn in sales marketing, the reason why it takes 7 to 8 times sometimes before a customer buys is because sometimes they purposely do that. They want to see if you're going to keep coming back. They want to see if you're authentic. They want to see if you're not a scam, because the average scam is going to talk to you 2 or 3 times and then they're going to give up. But if you really believe in the value, and because that's the beauty about Hex and the T-shares and long term, because you don't have to focus on looking at the chart. You can focus on talking and onboarding and creating new product that's going to help people better understand. Meanwhile, your stake is earning money while you quote unquote sleep or do better productive thing. I'm very busy because of work, but what do you think is going to happen when I figure some other stuff out, which I'm already starting to do next year and the following year as things gets better? It's going to be, I'm going to have more free time to do more things. Right now, the best way I can be impactful is to come every time I can, is to continue to work, because I'm buying a lot of Hex and I'm constantly buying. That also helps the community and the things for the long run. So everybody needs to do what they can at their level, build a dream account, but understand the synergy is what bring it all together. This message we're talking about today is very important. It's not the most popular, so to speak, but it's very important, because that's how you build longevity. That's how you build company. That's how you build what they call ecosystems.
Yeah, a comment from the chat. Too much emphasis on staking. Also need to reach out to the masses that don't want to stake. Get them on board too. Actually, it's that they will come. You don't need to onboard them. They will come.
The moment
Because
they see this up, they'll come.
You see it in the price chart as well. So when we get this breakout, the traders are like
always exactly. They're always looking. Dude, they have trade alerts. They're not stupid. They're always looking. The moment these things start to do whatever, that's why I don't waste time doing that, because they're always looking at it. Because they're like scavengers, right? They're looking for the quick flips. The same way what do you think this happened? People started to buy, like you say, your friends started coming in big payday, and then the traders took it over like here, because
exactly.
they're like hyenas, but it's fine. They're part of the market. I get it. But what we're talking about here is for the longevity, because when the price pumps, right, or does this to this, it's the long-term minded individual that hold the price so it doesn't crash, so that more trader wants to come in, because the trader also wants some level of stability with the liquidity, right? Because right now they can say, oh, liquidity is whatever, but if the price of Hex do another 5x move, that same 6 million liquidity, right, becomes 30 million. You see what I mean? Which is more than most exchanges, because a lot of exchanges, they do a lot of wash trading and whatever. We have real on-chain data. So this argument that they're using is not
your argument is also not totally correct, because 50% of this liquidity is on the ETH side, and it's only then correct if ETH also make 5x
you get my point.
Same period of time.
Is as the axis goes up, that
I know what you want to say. Yeah, so if Hex increases in price, the liquidity in US dollar terms is also increasing.
I remember when, before people complained about 6 million, I remember when I first got in, liquidity was like a million, 1.5, 1.8.
Sorry, but that's not true, man. That's only true if we're still at version 1 and missed to move to version 2 or something.
Yeah, version 1. I'm talking about back in April.
The highest point of version 1 was 16 million US dollars.
The highest. I'm talking about at some point, I saw it when it was lower than the 6. That's
Yeah, because it was the transformation from version 1 to version 2. So I'm sorry, but I don't take that as a statement.
That's fine. I didn't know we're in the court here, but I'm just saying that people will always complain about something. That's the moral of the story. Until price goes up, and then they're going to find something else to complain about. So we just need to focus on things that we know is going to work and bring the long-term stability. That's going to bring the long-term growth. And that's why I personally focus on the onboarding. That's all. Traders going to always be traders, and they always have their price alerts and whatever. So they're always going to come.
I mean, Ellen and I are also focusing on the onboarding. Yeah, I mean, I'm also doing a price analysis, but more for the people who are new or want to get in. Yeah, that they are that they get a better feeling of, okay, what is this price and where should I look deeper, or what are good zones and such stuff, you know. And my goal is also to educate people how they can be their own bank without any middleman involved, by keeping their private key in their own hands, and being able to earn trustlessly on the blockchain, you know. And that's a really good thing, and that's why I love HEX, you know.
Let's talk about a list people can do to help HEX. Well, first thing everybody should do is inform themselves and get to know HEX. So second thing is buy HEX. Third thing is stake HEX, build your dream ladder. Fourth thing is like get active in social media, like Karim is here in our channel right now, and also twittering every day, liking every post on Twitter and all the other channels. Like just get involved, do something for the community. Then maybe start the YouTube channel, start the Twitter, and just do stuff. Me, for example, I do memes daily and just put them out there to have like people like have a laugh about it, you know. And I think that's important for the community. And then what we didn't talk about yet, and I just saw it on the in the chat, just maybe why not? I'm a big advocate for this since a long time. Patrick is like another opinion on that. I think every Hexican should also just do not go to the restaurant for one day, take $50 and put it into the liquidity pool. Just put it in there, let it sit there, and you know, enjoy your trading fees. Maybe you do not gain a lot of ROI from it, because staking is always better, but just to participate in the system, put something in the little numbers. And I coming here from Crypto Goose, who's saying liquidity is going down. It was 14, now it went down to 6, steadily going down, and he says this is not good. And I'm the opposite opinion. I think it is really good that liquidity is going down. Why is that? Because people that sell right now, they sell the price down and they do not get as much money. So you want to have low liquidity right now when people are selling, so they do not get a good price and they sell for not as much.
They sell bottoms. And then, like we said many times, he debunked this many times. Low liquidity is also what allows price to go up faster too. So again, it's just we're in that phase of understanding that this is a great accumulation zone. And then one tiny thing I just want to correct real quick is that liquidity provider is not always worse than staking. It just depends on the behavior of the system. So if we stay stagnant for a while and then there's a crazy volume of trading, sometimes it could generate a little bit more. But yes, over time, staking always is better than the liquid provider. So having that balance,
like in over 90% of cases, staking will outperform providing liquidity. And that's why I'm not that's why I don't have the same opinion on providing liquidity as AbbitHex has, you know. So
but it depends. What he said, which was also good, is he was talking about, you know, dinner or whatever. It depends on the amount of hex. Like if you have your dream account, don't provide liquidity with that. Stake, because you'll get a greater reward. So it just depends of, you know, where you want to do, and that's the beauty also of having a balance between the two, depending on the behavior of the system. So That's kind of how, but getting involved, getting engaged, contributing however way you can is great. Staying educated so you can, spread good information, and getting those people also onboarded and educated is going to be huge. And leveraging the community is also very important, because as we continue to grow, step by step, we get ahead. It's not an overnight thing, but on the long term, by promoting the right behavior and staying consistent, that's going to be, the long-term value. Because the people that I'm talking to, they have, relatively big amount they want to come in. They're looking for that stability. And I present the way I present with the staking, because for them, that's the true long-term value, because they're not traders and they don't want to trade. You know what I mean? At best, maybe a swing trade, one trade every year or so, but I'm tackling to a different part of the population, which I know I have a niche to, and I know how to present to get them on board. Because you get like a few of those things, you're gonna easily get your 5 to 10x move. Okay, make no mistake. Like I said, I helped make this top. Okay, so it's it happens for a reason. And when that happens, guess what? Everything starts to fire all cylinder. All of a sudden, the traders that you're worried about, they're all coming back in, because all their alarms is clocking in. Oh, trade alert, this, that, whatever. So focus
and
on
there is also a bit of a misconception from people that low liquidity is bad for onboarding.
Yep.
Actually, also we also saw it this year. Yeah, also high liquidity creates huge amount of volatility, because
Yep.
just look at the unit token. When they came
Crazy.
out, they had over 40,000 ETH on their ETH side, yeah. So like 8x, 9x, 10x, what Hex has right now. And what
Exactly.
did Uni? It shooted up 400%. It corrected 70%. So like you have the same price chart with the high liquidity as you have with the low liquidity in the Hex chart when you just look at it at
Exactly.
the last
So
4 weeks, at the
it's
last
a
5 weeks.
fallacy, and that's why it's a false argument. It's a fallacy. Another better example will be Bitcoin itself or Ethereum. They have crazy liquidity, right? $1 billion. They still dip like crazy, 15, 18%. So that's a non-argument, because it's a fallacy that's been debunked. Also, what people don't realize is there's also a lot of what I call virtual liquidity. For example, thanks to the limit orders, I forget the website that you can trade Uniswap or Hex on limit orders. That's virtual liquidity to me, in a way where, if you remember the big whales or some of the big other traders, when the price gets to a certain level that they're very happy to see, that dip gets buyback very fast. Make sense?
I mean, what I know, it's a bit hard to do those limit orders with. I guess it's Uniswap X dot.
Yeah. Like my
something.
version, my version of liquidity
But you need to know what you're doing there to know like how to put the details of your transaction, because if not, then then your transaction don't get executed. And furthermore, you need to trust this DApp as well, because it's another DApp,
Yep,
or
absolutely.
it's called
This is why
Unitrade, I
do it.
guess. Yeah.
I use this.
And
This is my version. This is my version of limit order. I just put one ETH, and every time I see numbers like this, or anytime I see anything less than my entry point, I'm just doing max buy. I don't even look. I just do max, because to me it's good enough for my price. Make sense? So that's another way. But my point is, it wasn't money that you saw sitting on the bid and ask order. It was just somebody that's waiting when the price get a certain range that they're very happy to get Hex at, and all of a sudden you're going to see a big market buy, millions of Hex. So that's all I'm saying. That's what I also call virtual limit order liquidity, because they're just waiting for the price to be at a certain level that they're very happy about. And I'm very happy about this level right now. Anything less than 120,000 per Hex, it's a layup, because to me that's right around my entry point below. So because the reason why I'm more, because obviously I got bonus and stuff like that, but this is very good. So if you look at it like that, that's another way, because you don't always want to, people to know exactly what you're doing, so to speak. And that's why Richard said it's good to see those big wallets that also have a lot of ETH just sitting around, because that can at any time again, no expectation, but at any time, that ETH can potentially be converted to Hex. So just keep that in mind.
Well, another question I wanted to ask you is, what would you like to see to build on top of Hex? Like, for example, a little bit earlier, we talked about Staker.app, and I think Staker.app alone will bring so many new users
Absolutely.
with new functions coming on, and we just talked about Uniswap, and if we can limit by, and we didn't know this one, that, and what would you like to see built on top of Hex? What is
That's
your
a good
opinion?
question. So for me, it's as simple as this: anything that can add more to easy onboarding, right? Not necessarily, the on-ramp thing, because sometimes legally, when you touch money, it could be, I don't want those people to get in trouble, right? But easy onboarding in terms of tool to visualize how much people have, how they can do the stake and everything. And again, Staker that App is doing an amazing job. So things like that, but more importantly, I don't want any, well, that's just my opinion. I just don't want anything that can potentially touch the contract itself, because you don't want to create something that can create problems for the long run. That's my only thing. But besides that, everything that brings onboarding is usually like a go-to, and then maybe adding a little bit of social media attached to it. So for example, how we doing with the channels and stuff like that. When another thing I like about Sticker That App is when you're going to start having the ranking and where you are and stuff like that, something that we can really push into making it something too good to be, like being a dolphin or this or that, something that can bring status to people that you can use also as a trust factor. Be like, oh wow, this person, pseudo anonymous or whatever, is in the community. He's a long-term holder. He has value. So when he speaks and when he do certain things, he has validity because of the stuff that he has. So anything that has that social engaging, I think it's going to be great.
Hey, you know what? This brings me to one thought. I saw somebody in his Twitter handle with a lot of animals. I don't know if there were all the animals from the Hex League, but what we maybe could do, just like our profile pictures, we could like put a little dolphin, a little squid, or whatever we have into the Twitter name. That would be something fun, I think.
It would definitely be, again, being proud, representing. You're not alone. You're in the community. That's why I love to be the face to show, hey, big accounts are in Hex, right? It's not just, people are talking, oh, it's just bots, this and that. That's not true. There's a lot of people, especially people that wasn't even here in the beginning. So it shows that it adds positive reinforcement. It's a community thing. It's outreach. The people are there in the community. Like, I'm so impressed when Richard, do 6-hour live streams. He doesn't have to, but he comes in, he shows his face and things like that. And that, I think, is great. More things like that adds to the community, to the build up, so people feel like they're not alone. Like, it's not like, oh, something's going to happen to me and then I'm going to be by myself. Like, no, we're here and we're here for the long run. We're here to stay. We educate you. We answer questions. We'll show you what we're doing. We're just sharing with you. Keyword share. We're not telling you what to do, anything. We're just sharing with you what we're doing, why it makes sense, the logic behind it, and then ultimately the person makes the final decision. So
exactly, yeah. Like just to educate the people, to show them what we are already doing with our own money.
Yep.
And like usually compared to new people, like with more money, they want to commit like for the first time, and why we are doing it, yeah, because it has a reason, and it has a reason since the 2nd of December last year, yeah. And this year in January it had extremely high reason. And just show them why we are doing it. Just show them like how to do that, what are good strategies. And yes,
And
the only
then
thing,
when you do all of that, you always want to end with a global macro view to make them everything put into perspective. Why are we doing that? Right? It's not just about making money. It's really taking back sovereignty of our own money, so to speak, right? To not let the bank just devalue us left and right. So be able to always put things in perspective so people can see the bigger picture, I think, is going to be key, because there's always going to be market cycles, right? Because it's human behavior. Like I said, this is something you cannot put in a chart exactly, but you can model some of the behavior. So when people really understand the bigger picture, why crypto, right? The printing money, protecting your own wealth, be on your own control, be your own bank, all that good stuff. Then Hex, making money while you sleep, making money without looking at charts. Because most people, if they really ask themselves honestly, if you can say, hey, you can make the same amount of gains, but you don't have to look at any chart, they will always want to do it, right? So once they get that bigger picture, it's going to fortify them so they don't get unwillingly shaken out because of fear or FUD. And that's the biggest gift we can give them, because they become strong holder, and you don't have to worry about, oh my God, am I going to get that phone call, a year from now, 2 years from now?
What I also like to say is, like, if you can wait longer on your money, you can even earn more and have the potential to get even a higher price to dump because you waited more. And by waiting more, you're just waiting on a bigger and bigger and bigger user base, because what we see in the crypto market, like when the users of a cryptocurrency gets more and more, the value of each unit of this cryptocurrency also gets
Yep.
more value.
Met
It's more
Capitalization. You know what I
valuable.
mean? The
So
network effect. Absolutely. It's the same way where the early people, right, that hold it, even here, didn't panic, right? They got to benefit from this big pump. It's the same thing, you know what I mean? No guarantee, but what if it's going to happen potentially a year or two from now? So it's the same thing, which is why we call it the marshmallow effect, which is really what this game is all about for the long-term value. So those who understand that, they're
that
going
you
to
don't get burned over the fire, or what is the marshmallow effect? I'm not
no,
aware
No,
of it.
it's
Sorry.
it's the experiment, right?
Hold on.
The marshmallow experiment is like
Yes.
kids sitting in front of the marshmallow, and they get double the marshmallow if they do not touch it until somebody comes
Don't
back.
eat it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now I
that one.
know.
Yeah. So in other words, in simple word, it's like you delay gratification, right? You can eat it now, or you wait, and then tomorrow you get two, right? It's the same thing. So that's what I look at it for this. You can eat it now and get it now, or you can wait. Again, no guarantee, but just the staking value, earning interest, plus the potentiality of another bull run or two bull run. If mathematically we get a bull run, so to speak, every 3 to 5 years, even though in Hex it seems like the cycles are a little bit faster, because again, it's better than Bitcoin to me, because you're getting paid to huddle. Make sense? You're getting the staking reward. So I think the cycles are naturally faster because of that. So if you understand that dynamic long term wise, right, it's gonna be better. And I'm not worried about the people that are like, oh, they're holding the Hex liquid and not stake. That's nothing. In the grand scheme of things, it's nothing compared to all the other money that's out there, all the other money that's in Bitcoin. Like again, 1
Yes,
million.
because you have to look like how the coin supply is delivered in Hex. Yeah, Silva the Antidote has really good chain analysis video on his channel for
Yes.
that. And if you're going to watch that, and if you're calculating after that, like, okay, what amount does this whale has, what amount does the general public has, and so on, you're finding out that, okay, we are under 10% total staking ratio,
Exactly.
but a lot of percent are in the strongest hands you can possibly have.
Exactly. And I tell people not to be misled by some of the OA stake, because I think that's just my opinion. I think the OA stakes is just function of APY. So people always say, oh
I
my
mean,
God.
the OA stakes, they are there for a bit of a control of the share rate.
Yeah, but that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That's a function of APY. That's what I use it for.
Because
Because somebody stake from
if you're so they programmed it that the origin address gets some hex in the first place, a copy of all bonuses, and so it was already programmed that the OA will take care of the hex system, and
Exactly.
by staking some of those hex, OA also takes care about the staking
Yes. This is why I made
ratio,
the joke
staking
earlier
system.
saying the HEX contract is like an AI. It's like, with the Federal Reserve members, all of us, the staker class, and then the HEX contract is like the chairman, right? So it's a controller API. When this happens, price goes up, okay, you get a little bit less interest, but price goes up. Price goes down, boom, you get a little bit more interest. So it's a great balancing act, which is amazing. And that's why I tell people that it's just great to understand where the value lies. So now is the perfect time. And that's why we're getting those crazy APY, because those who are not willing to stake are being diluted by the people who are stake. And if you stake more than the average length, you're always earning. So literally you have negative inflation. You don't have any inflation because you're gaining always every day. So literally it's another positive factor for you to continue to stash, to increase your stake, because it's the dream account, so to speak, or the long-term thinking, right? Those who own gold or big stuff, they don't necessarily do it just to make money. They're trying to build wealth. And over time, as a positive side effect, the wealth end up creating the other mad games. But the thought process that made the investment is the key. And that's the mentality that gives you the big money, right? Some people will sell for like, oh, I made a little bit of gain, and they miss out on the hundreds of X's of return over the long term. So it's about educating those mentalities for people to really understand where the long-term value is. While we're talking about marshmallow experience, delay gratification, things like that, there's many hints that's been dropping many times over and over, right? Who really makes money in crypto? Somebody has been looking at it for 10 years is telling you, like, the founders or the holder, period. So all those things are hints, but those who don't listen, unfortunately, that's why they don't get up the game the same way.
Yeah, but actually, we also need those people who don't listen, because if you don't get those people who don't listen, where should the money come from?
Both sides. No, listen, I listen, right? And I came in with multiple six figures, right? My money came in and helped a lot of people. So that's actually, it's a counter, intuitive thing. It's almost a fallacy. It's not because you listen that doesn't mean you benefit. It's perfectly designed where if everybody listen, as a matter of fact, if everybody listens and do everything like it's supposed to, we can get to 10,000 hex way faster, because it's just self-fulfilling prophecy, and then it's just sucking.
Yeah, because the economic mass just comes in and never gets out.
Exactly. That's the beauty of the economic audits. This is something I derived to fast and quick, and that's what's like, oh my god, this thing is gonna go to the moon. So it's just, that's why, again, as a synergy, as a capitalist, as I educate more and more people and they understand for their own benefit, it's the benefit of everybody in the ecosystem. That's what a perfectly balanced system that doesn't leak out economic mass is better. That's why Bitcoin, the miners, they leak out the economic mass. We don't. It stays here and it gets into the hands of the bigger people. And once you understand that, it's very important. And now it becomes your duty also, as the person that understands it, to share the wealth, share the learning for people to really understand. Now, if they decide to do it or not, that's on them. But your duty is just to explain it to them, so you did your part, right? People that worry about, oh, how can I add value? I don't have X, Y, and Z. That's the first easiest way you can add value, just by explaining how it works, the main value from it, right? And it's better for the ecosystem. The same way earlier during the adoption phase, if you guys remember, Richard talked about, which is cool. Hey, teach people how to do the self-refer. You may not always get it, but because you teach them that, more economic energy is coming in. And sometimes they make mistakes and they don't know how to do it right, and then they end up referring you. But the simple fact that they got in more, it's better for everybody. So sometimes a little bit of
let me quickly jump in here. We already did like 2 hours and 45 minutes. We will go to 3 hours for sure. Time is just running when you are deep in the rabbit hole. I just want to say to all the viewers, thanks for coming by, dropping all the lemons and stuff. You guys go ahead and just spam the chat with whatever you want for like just a little bit, and give us some more questions that we can talk about. And I think like for the next 15 minutes, we will just answer the chat and stuff like this, and then we will slowly get it to an end. So you guys go ahead and ask any question you want right now, and we will just continue with the stream until like 15 minutes or so.
So, Karim, one question from me. How do you get your new audience? How do you get to new people? I mean, of course, in your job you're around a lot, but let's say because we have special situation all over the world, lot of people are like in cancel,
COVID and stuff.
and with all this social distancing and no grouping and so on, it's a bit hard to make up new contacts these days. So where are you looking? Where are you going?
So two things that I want people, just to preface this the right way, okay? Because I also deal with COVID too, so some of my work is virtual, remotely. I just want people to understand that the real value comes from being consistent. Just like anything in life, building momentum, just like viewership, right? You can do a bunch, you only get 50 people for a while, but because you don't quit, you keep doing it and you're being consistent, all of a sudden you get a wave. And I think crypto is in a bull phase when you're going to get that wave. So for me personally, from all the people that I know of, right? So not just the people from my work, anybody that's in my phone, okay? I probably have like 500 phone numbers plus, because also I'm in sales. So I get, that from some of those customers. Now, I want to be very, very strategic about how I present the information because, work is work, right? And then some of my customers, because I'm an easygoing person, I end up building the friendship, the relationship. It could take about, a couple weeks or sometimes a week or 2 days. And then I become starting a text relationship with my customer or my entourage, so to speak. And then just by asking questions, not telling them like, hey, what do you think about what's going on, in the economy and how do you protect yourself? And just by sometimes asking advice from people, they tell you what they're doing. Then you have the opportunity to share what you're doing instead of me shoving down their throat. That's sometimes it has a negative vibe. It makes it looks like it's all about you. You're just trying to use me, even though you don't.
Exactly. You just want to sell me something,
Exactly.
If they don't give you any dollar for your onboarding process, they still think that you're just telling me that because it benefits you.
Exactly. And if you're not careful, that can turn into patronizing, which is not good. You know what I mean? And because in my profession, the big time sales professional, they actually don't look or sound like salespeople. They look like their best friend. They look like the people like you buy anything from them anytime, any day, because they understand that you got to be a person first. Stop looking at people like a dollar sign. Just relax. That's the beauty of staking. You got 15 years, okay? There's you got nothing on BitMEX or something where there's an option call where you got, oh my God, I got a deadline. No, just relax, catch your breath. Be a person, educate. Being an educator requires patience too.
So let's see what the chat has about. One said, old man HEX, it's much easier to tell newbies to buy HEX because it might go up in value than it is to explain staking. Right? Staking is like really hard to explain for some people.
Yeah, I mean, I have a take on that. But actually, I have a take on that. So, old man HEX, if you already got the yes from somebody like, let's buy HEX because it goes up in price, then you can just add. And if you want to, I can show you a way that you get like double, 3 times, even 10 times your HEX, that you can dump even more when the price is high,
Exactly.
Are you interested? It's a bit more complicated than in the normal system because here you have a contract which gives you a dynamic interest, not like in a traditional bank, which the banksters give you a fixed, pretty low interest. So are you still interested? Because then I would like to show you how you can participate in this earnings mechanism of HEX.
And let's do it like this. I will give you an example. The secret is to understand that everything is about stages. Okay, you got to know what the person's stage is. If it's a brand new person or a cold person or whatever, you got to start with step 1, which is basic education, asking questions, just a conversation. Just, hey, what are you thought about the economy? What do you think about this negative interest rate? Like, just open-ended question, just start a dialogue. And there's like, and sometimes they're gonna start to tell you what they're doing, which is similar to HEX, but with less gains. And then you can just pivot them to HEX, smooth, easy, part of the conversation. That's step one, getting somebody engaged or interested, pick their interest. That's what we call it. The easiest person to sell is the person that's already sold in their mind. They're receptive to the information, right? It's from a book called Pitch Anything, which is very important. There's 3 levels, right? First, they gotta know you, right? They like you, they trust you, and then you can make it make sense. 3 level as primitive. It's literally from the brain. Okay, you can't make sense to somebody that doesn't trust you, and somebody doesn't trust you until they like you. It's literally as simple as that. Even if it's a small talk, 5-10 minutes, get to, oh, this guy sounds cool. Let me hear what he has to say. Boom. Then you start to use a little logic, explanation, what's going on, the economy, boom, boom, boom. And then they're naturally going to be eager to want to learn more. Then you can go to 3 feet deep and things like that. So the same thing with the staking thing or whatever, get them to buy Hex. If you pass that stage, then he's naturally going to ask you, wait a minute. I heard about this staking thing. How does that work? Boom. That's your signal. That's your buying signal. You're not overwhelming. He's like, okay, he bought it. Price went up, or he's trying to find a way to do something with his Hex while he's waiting. Boom. Then you can talk about the staking. And then he might change his mind and stake more than trade. But that's how you do it, step by step, instead of like bulldozer and then be a turnoff. Because you have people that have been traumatized before. And it's not just the crypto space, especially older people. Anybody above 40 or whatever, they live long enough on planet Earth, okay? Somebody scammed them before, or they had a bad experience, this sour taste in their mind, so they have their defense mechanism on. The moment you sound like one of those people that potentially hurt them in the past, you automatically get shut off. It's a mental response, like fight or flight, right? You see a lion, you don't think, you run. Because your biological level say, lion, bad, it's gonna eat you, leave. Fight or flight.
Actually, the last time I saw a lion, I was not running away. I was putting out my camera.
If you one-on-one with him and not in a zoo, trust me, you'll be. So you see,
I like lions. So
I like lions too.
Another question from the chat is, I love this question, even though it's hard to answer. What will price be in March 2020? What do you think?
March 2020 is already passed.
March 2020, it didn't pass. It's like in 2 years.
March 2022. He means.
Oh yeah,
not 2020.
March 2020.
Sorry. Oh man, yeah, yes. Now I get it. It's like really late here in Germany now.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, when you say price, let's be a little tricky here. Just the Hex price or T-shirt or just Hex price?
Hex price, yeah. Hex USDC.
Hold on. Let me go back to my little voodoo box just for fun. Let me pull up the.
Should I start? I will start with my expectation. You know that there was in the beginning of Hex.com advertisement that Hex is designed to do 10,000 Hex in 2.5 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So 2.5 years from the beginning of Hex would be April 2022. So I would say we are between 40 and 50 cents.
Okay, but now I got to be the bigger brother here and just remind everybody again, for expectation purposes, so to speak, designed to do it doesn't mean he's going to do it in the 2.5 years. I believe he's going to do it in 15 years for sure. Now, we may even do it faster or sooner, but just want to set expectation, everybody. Like, just keep that in mind. My educated guess is based on what the human behavior is going to be. Now I'm going to blow people's mind. Now I put my real formal pants on. You ready?
Yeah.
And here's the funny joke, because I like to use reasoning, so I don't sound like I pull a number out of my ass. I don't like to do that. First premise, where is crypto? By March 2022, my premise is crypto is going to be anywhere between $1 to $3 trillion market cap. Okay, let that sink in. I expect also Bitcoin and ETH to be the 2 main dominants in terms of dominance and stuff like that. I expect Bitcoin to be anywhere. My sweet spot right now, I'll say 40-60 split. 40% Bitcoin dominance, 60%. When I say ETH, altcoins, all that, put it all together. Okay. Now, why does that matter? Because when you get to a trillion market cap, whatever, the price of Bitcoin is about 2.5, 3x what it is today, because it's 300 something billion, right? Whatever that is. So that gives me around $55,000 Bitcoin, more or less. Why does that matter? Because everything is a ratio of everything else. I'm talking there is going to be a $1,500 to $2,000 Ethereum. by then. Again, following the ratio. I don't have the calculator on my head, but this is why I tell people reasoning. No, like, oh yeah, just $1 million tomorrow. No. So to recap, 1 to 3 trillion total market cap, 40% BTC dominance. Rest is altcoin, mainly Ethereum. Okay, Ethereum price value anywhere between 1,500, because it's very close. It's 2-3x from here, $1,500 to $2,000, and maintaining the low pair. This is the cool part. Maintaining the low pair that we are right now with HEX, expecting that most of the token is shifting to the long-term mindset people and not what it is now. You do the reverse engineering of what the price of ETH is with a ratio of where we are right now. Let's say 0.0001, you know, where we were before the pump. If you remember let me share my screen one more time.
Before what pump?
I'm gonna show it again here.
Which months?
The one before big payday, because some of it was organic, the rest was the whale, the traders, and then of course.
I mean, from the 14th of September, we hit it like 0.2%.
Yeah.
And then when we reached 0.5%, we broke up.
Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen right now? Yeah. So I'm talking about this here, and this is this.
People in the chat, please give us feedback if you are still live, if everything is okay.
I'm here.
Then we will just continue. Yeah, we see you. Everything is fine on our side. But the chat is saying offline, and buffering and stuff like this.
Okay.
So you guys just type in the chat if everything is fine again.
Yeah, I'm trying to just stay static and then just talk slow. So Ethereum right now, as you can see, let's say it's 550 or 500, right? So 3x from here will be the 1,500 that I talked about, okay? Then I said here, this is the price of HEX right now. I said this is going to be around 11,000 and change. So when you double this to here, that gives you about 0.008, okay? You follow me?
Yeah.
And then you take that number, which is the ratio that I'm looking for here, and then you multiply that by 3 to get the dollar amount. So 0.008 times 3 is 2.4. Let's be nice. I round it up anywhere between 2.5. And by the way, this is my low worst case scenario. We just stay steady. You're looking at about 2.5 to 3 cents. Now, if you go on the upper bound, we're looking at about anywhere around 8 to 10 cents. So this is how I use conservative, very thought process thinking. And this is my worst case scenario, because this is how I calculate everything for the dream account and stuff like that, right? In about 2 years, because that's the time frame we're talking about, right? 2 years roughly. In about 2 years, I expect the lower bound of my HEX to be around 3 cents. The higher bound, anybody can just throw a big number if they want.
Yeah, I will give you a number. So I'm a meme guy, okay? I do memes, and my memes would not work at all if I throw out a number like 1 cent. So I just look what Richard is saying, and he's saying crypto can go higher than anybody could expect.
Yes.
And we can look at people in the system. We have the Genesis as well. We have multiple of them. We have one guy just bought 330 million HEX. It's like $1 million, and staked it for 15 years. Nothing ever had happened in this world before. Like, people had never committed such much money for such a long time. That's why I'm still saying $7 in March 2022.
Nice. Hey, I would love it if that happens. That's great. Yes. Because guess what? When I do the higher bound, right, I go on the highest pair that I've seen. So that means we're going back to HEX ETH of 35,000, right? If we get to that point, that's a 10x. I'm sorry, it's a 6 times 6, 36. So that's a 6x move on the ratio here, which is going to literally 6 times the 6 times 6, so 36 times the price. So yeah, you're right. That's the bullish. It's gonna be like, we're talking dollars, yes. But again, I know that it's gonna get there within 15 years, no matter what. In the next 2 years, my educated guess, I'm very confident. I'll tell that to anybody that wants to hear it. It's anywhere between, I will say, minimum 3 to 5 cents, high end 10 to 15 cents. 2 years from now.
Okay, guys, we are
Good.
over 3 hours already, so it was such a fun stream. Karim, did you consider making your own YouTube account, like just having your own streams? I think you'd be awesome for that.
I've heard from many people. I thought about it's just right now. Again, I like to commit for things that I'm going to deliver, right? Because I'm when I give my word, I do it. So it's just right now, timing wise. It's not that I don't want to do it. I can do it. I mean, you see me, I can talk on camera. It's just right now, I don't have the time, unfortunately, because I have a lot of other things that I'm doing. And I also have responsibility because I manage a bunch of other people. I have to get that done. So the next best thing that I can do, because I love this community, is continue to buy Hex religiously every paycheck and showing up as many of those streams as I get invited. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And then also talking to the community in the chat and answering questions, because I think education is still underrated, how valuable that is. We have such a good product that if we just educate the 21,000 supposedly people we have, just that alone, I believe that can put us at 1.5 cents. Let me say it again.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like people are like, oh, we want the new people. No, it's like you're hiring, you're recruiting, but you're not training the people. And then now you have the blind leading the blind, and then people start to do the bad things, and then and then they're gonna have a bad experience, and then they're gonna start saying, oh, Hex is this, that doesn't work. Like we're definitely gonna bring in more people, but my focus right now, based on what I can do, is 2 things: buy a lot of Hex every time I can, with fiat, fresh money, right? Nothing beats that. That's going to bring buying support, and also educating as much as I can coming on live stream. But eventually, yes, because we're going to be here for a long time. Eventually, when I get more time, it's a no-brainer.
Actually, Karim, if not, you're highly invited to come back whenever you want to share anything else regards to Hex with us.
Amen. And then again, some people can follow me on Twitter if they know Your Magic. So, because I tweet sometime too every time I can, and retweet some of the stuff from Richard. So that's another way I can be vocal, because it's quick, it's efficient, and it goes directly to all the people that follow me. So
yeah, just say your Twitter again. I didn't.
All right. Let me type it in the chat. It's at Your Magic. So let me type in this chat, and then you can put it on there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, type it in the chat, and I will forward it to the chats in the screen.
Oh,
yes.
I just did. Yeah, Your Magic. That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that's what's very powerful, because as people get more educated, they naturally become more confident. The reason why I was able to say, okay, I'm moving 6 figures, let's go, it's because I spend the time to educate myself. Of course, I can sit here and say, oh my God, if I was here in January, oh my God, I'll be a super fucking well right now. But I'm not upset, because the time that I took to do my research is what gives me the confidence to then make the move, help make the top. I don't care. I'm holding long term. My account is you know what I mean? That's important. We want the people to come and stay. Not
so you're like little Richard or something like that, because Richard also helped to make the top when he got in.
Right? I literally joked about that. I was like, well, hey, I'm following Richard. That must be something good. You know what I mean? But no, it's true. It's so true. But you see, it's fun. It's fun when you have a tool like that.
It seems like generational wealth is coming out from a short-term dump or something like that, you know. Because with my entry and with the entry of lots of Hexicans, it was like that, yeah. Because when did the most of the people come in at first day? So we all FOMOed first day or day one, you know. So
but like honestly, there's FOMO and there's FOMO. No offense. Like when you have multiple 6 figures, and then if you're not used to it and your account goes down $50,000, it's not fun. You know what I mean? It's another thing to say, hey, I FOMO at the top. No offense to anybody, but I FOMO at the top. But then I invested like $1,000, $2,000, which is still a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. And then it kind of goes down, whatever. And then you got many other days, including day 33, to buy a lot more. That's still okay. But but because you have the discipline, you did the math. You're like, okay, everything is not relevant. It goes down, you just buy more, your dollar cost. Because I'm staked for 15 years. Because at some point too, guess what? The account was over $1 million, the dream account. I saw that too, but I didn't care because I staked for 15 years. So it doesn't really matter when you think like that. And then you're like, wait a minute, since I'm going to continue buying, it went down. I can buy more for cheap because my real exit is I care about the price 15 years from now. That's when I give you that worst case scenario, because I don't want to just FOMO people irresponsibly. My worst case scenario, let's do quick math right now. Dream account, worst case scenario, 2.5 years from now, we are 2 to 3 cents. Based on realistic expectation, Bitcoin at a certain level, Ethereum at a certain level, we are 2 to 3 cents, which means 15 years from now, linear progression, you add another 10 years on top, 10 to 15 years, we average, let's just say 3 cents a year. Basic. By year 15, I'm at 50 cents, around those lines, 30 to 50 cents, which then with the amount invested, it's like we're looking at what 100 like 15 to 50 million dollars. That's amazing. That's just, and that's worst case scenario. You see, that's how you got to present it. You got to present it based on the worst case scenario. It still blows people's mind, and then they start to dream and let their imagination run. That's what I created a dream account. I was like, oh my God, this thing can go whatever. So what if I create this thing and I just put the money and I don't look at it? Right? Your version of like, hey, stop going out or eating, whatever. Me is great. I used to go to the clubs all the time because I love the club. I love dancing, whatever. So there's COVID, everything's closed. Thousands of dollars that I used to just waste. I'm just buy HEX Stake and just, so it's important. That's what I call the dream account. You have to dream. That's what motivates you to do what you do. Put the money away and just look at it. It makes you happy, You're building wealth. That's what you want to do.
Exactly. Those words are just perfect for the end. So thank you, Karim, for coming by to our stream. It was an awesome time. Everybody in the chat, thank you for being here. And yeah, that's it. Just visit us at our channels. We will always do weekly streams in English, and we have also streams in German, but you can always drop by, say hello, and we answer in English back. So you guys,
I want to give you guys one more shout out. I really appreciate it. I know it's like probably 3 or 5 a.m. right now. So again, appreciate the commitment. Thanks for being here. Everybody that's new, again, Hex Crypto, we're always in the Telegram. We're always helping people out, ask questions. Again, no such a thing as a stupid question. You can find me on Twitter as well or in the Telegram. I'm always there with a lot of emoji. You know what I mean? I can't be a bot because the bot can't do what I do, right? The level, I just love emojis and, put the face. So, bots, you can't, there's only one Karim. You can't, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having you on the show. All the best. Have a great rest of the week. And I hope we soon talk again, or like at least next year.
Let's say next year. Tell you what, you'll see me on the conference. That's on between the, I don't know the exact date, but I'm going to be there.
Yeah, it's the
6th to the 9th.
Till the 9th of January, yeah.
Or if we get another big punk before then, you might see me sooner. Whoso? No expectations, but yeah, it will be exciting times for sure. Last caveat I want to tell everybody here, if you guys didn't see the news, Grayscale is doing something huge on the 15th for because their Ethereum Trust Fund, they're doing a stock split 1-for-9. I posted on the X Pro chat and the Make chat in case people missed that. It's a very, very bullish sign for Ethereum, which is bullish for us because they're doing what Tesla did, the stock split, but they're doing 1-for-9 and they're raising millions more dollars. So that's
just the reason behind it, because they are doing a 1-to-9 stock split, is that their product, so they don't offer like physical, like direct Ethereum. So they offer like a product where in the background there is laying Ethereum, but Grayscale takes care of those crypto assets, and that the coupon or the ticker symbol or the security you're buying there is cheaper than right now, then that the bias is lower than right now, because right now this thing costs, I don't know the price actually, but I was told a couple of thousands of dollars for a contract. And if you lower that 8 times, it's like just $100, a few $100 per contract. And then the incentive for people to buy that is much higher than right now.
Exactly. And especially because like any stock split, if you own it before the split, you get more. So it brings that little FOMO aspect too. So anyway, that was just a last little caveat I wanted to share with everybody for those who haven't seen it first. And it's bullish for Ethereum, that and the fact that next year, the US market, the Dow Jones is going to start listing all the crypto, the main one. And that's huge. That's adoption just by itself. More eyeballs.
Nice.
Exactly. More eyeballs. Perfect words for the end. So all the best, guys. Thanks again for all the contribution in the chats and so on. So goodbye.
Have a good night.